here on CBS. We're going to switch you to the Rose Bowl and USC and UCLA. And for a report on that contest, let's go to Gary Bender out in sunny Southern California.
Here we go.
The Rose Bowl, the site of today's rivalry between the Trojans of USC, the Bruins of UCLA. And even though the Pac-10 championship is not on the line, Bruin coach Terry Donahue has a lot that he wants to achieve today.
Well, if we were fortunate enough to win the ball game, it would be our third straight victory over Southern Cal, which hasn't been accomplished at UCLA in 30 years. It would be our fourth out of 5 wins against USC, which would be, I think, a real milestone for our football program. But more importantly, probably, is that it would give us bragging rights to the city for another year. And we gave up our conference championship this year. I'd like not to give up our city championship.
Pat, there's always a lot at stake in this game.
Well, there's so much tradition for this game, and if you've ever played in it, it's a game that you remember the rest of your life.
We'll be back to start the game here from the Rose Bowl. A crowd in the neighborhood of 90,000 on hand. Let's go back now to New York and Pat O'Brien.
All right, Gary, thank you. We look forward to watching that game. It is a final now. Navy has upset South Carolina 38-21. What an upset that is. That's a final score. Other scores today. Notre Dame appears to be getting, they did get a win at home, finally.
But their 7 wins have been the result of John Lee.
Wow. The junior. 24 of 27 this year. It's got enough distance, and it's good. From 46 yards away, and UCLA is on the board. The Bruins, who'd like to win 3 in a row over USC, strike first. They have a 3-0 lead. 7:30 to go, first quarter.
Me and my Chevy S10 worked all summer so I could come back to school. Then I worked on making the rodeo team. Coach said,
"What's a scrawny economics major know about bull riding?"
"Rode that bull and made the team." Coach said,
"What's that S10 cost?"
$59.90, I told him. Lowest price pickup made in America.
$59.90 for a Chevy S10?
I may be scrawny, but I am an economics major.
Nothing works like a Chevy truck.
You never know when the weather's going to turn on you, do you? That's why Michelin developed the XA4 all-season tire. The XA4's as good in the snow as a snow tire, as good out of the snow as a great-handling highway tire. And with proper care, its unique all-weather tread lasts up to 60,000 miles. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
UCLA with a 3-0 lead, and this panoramic view of Los Angeles and the Rose Bowl provided by the Goodyear Blimp Columbia. From Carson, California, the pilot is Tom Mattis. From Pittsburgh, and the cameraman is Dick Nelson. The kickoff by Potter, down by USC, and they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. Now, Pat, do you think USC will be USC on this drive?
Well, they certainly would not USC on the last drive. They came out and they wanted to be a little bit loose and throw the ball over the field, but if they want to have a chance against an emotionally charged UCLA team today, let's give that offensive line an opportunity to block somebody and give Fred Crutcher the ball. That's what I expect to see from USC here.
The old pitch.
The old
you
pitch.
ran so many times, right?
Pitched it very well. We got very famous pitching the ball to Anthony Davis.
And you didn't have any interceptions on it. From the 20. Cormier in motion, and here comes Crutcher to the 25, and Crutcher has the first down across the 30, an 11-yard pickup. Dennis Price over there, and that's the USC you expect to see. Let's meet the rest of that UCLA defense. The Bruins with Lee Knowles, the senior who plays so hard. He's almost an overachiever. Tommy Taylor, outstanding game. Remember that Arizona State game?
Great year.
Herb Welch, he runs a 40 and 4.5. Ron Pitts, and all Pac-10 academic selection. James Washington, along with the other safety, Dennis Price, our redshirt freshman, young but oh so talented. First down from the 31. Here's Crutcher again. Maybe a yard. Lee Knowles made the tackle. There's a penalty flag. Crutcher coming into this game 25 yards short of 1,000 yards, and he would be the first Trojan tailback to gain 1,000 since 1981.
Who's that, Marcus Allen, I guess?
Marcus Allen, he had over 2,000. And they have illegal use of the hands. Well, we've had part of the bowl picture cleared with Ohio State's win. Let's get another update. Let's go to New York and Pat O'Brien.
Gary, with 5 minutes left in the Yale-Harvard game, Ted McCauley on this 1-yard touchdown seals it for Yale. They beat Harvard 30-27 in the game. It's over. Back to you, Gary.
Harvard lost. Our producer, Rick Lasavita, very upset in the truck.
What was that sound I heard? Is that falling over backwards or what? It's going to be second down now. 9 yards to go. Did you see the expression on Terry when he came out of that tunnel? He's played in these games before. I think he was ready to suit up again.
He was wound up.
Second down now. 9 now for USC. Cormier goes in motion again. UCLA with a 3-0 lead. Here's Crutcher. Trap. Gets away. Pretty resourceful run. It was Chris Block who came storming through, and James Washington eventually made the tackle.
There's 78 on the upper left of the screen. Now watch that matchup, because USC feels they can run inside on the UCLA Bruins, but he runs right by Tom Cox and right by the fullback there to make the stop on Fred Crutcher. Now that's an interesting matchup. Chris Block on the center of USC. Chris Block won that one.
No gain on the play, but it could have been a big loss. 3rd down and 8. 6:19 to go in the first quarter. Crutcher trying to get outside to the 35, to the 40. First down run to the 44-yard line. Frank Batchkop made the stop. And Pat, USC is usually a right-handed team, but they're going left successfully.
Well, they're going over James Fitzpatrick. Remember, they have a left-handed quarterback, too, which makes a difference. But watch number 49, Fred Crutcher, and number 70 right there, James Fitzpatrick, who picks up a big block on the outside. A 3rd and 8 situation. For most teams, that's a passing situation. For the last 2 weeks for USC, it's been a running situation. They've run the ball very much the last 2 weeks on 3rd and 5 and greater.
That run by Crutcher puts him over 1,000 yards for the year. He has 26 yards today. Green throwing, and almost intercepted by Herb Welch. The intended receiver is Timmy Ware. There's a penalty flag at the 35-yard line. Good inside coverage by number 2. Have a roughing the passer. Tim Green, who this week gave UCLA some bulletin board material.
You're right. He did talk and put his foot in his mouth a couple of times. He's very famous for that. Reasonably good protection here, but the ball should not have been thrown. Last week he threw one into the coverage that was picked off. He had an interception earlier in the football game. Excellent coverage by number 2, Herb Welch, who had position on the receiver. The ball should have been thrown over Welch's head. The line blocking of USC. Remember, we saw number 78, Chris Block, right there in the middle of the screen, seep through before. This time they're not going to let Chris Block out. He has 2 men on him, and he's not going to get to the quarterback. That's the beauty of playing nose guard, Gary. You get to have 2 or 3 guys blocking you all the time.
Well, the roughing the passer gives USC a first down at the 42 of UCLA. Tim Green this week said, we're going to whip them. And Terry Donahue is it on the dressing room bulletin board. Crutcher dropped at the 40. Chris Block, who's been very active at that nose guard spot, a gain of 1. 2nd down 9. It was Knowles assisting Chris Block. There's what we were just mentioning. Crutcher going over 1,000. First time since 81.
I got a quiz for you. Do you know what school has the most 1,000-yard rushers?
It isn't USC?
It isn't USC, believe it or not. Time's up. North Carolina.
Is that right?
That's right.
Charlie Choo-Choo Justice and all those guys, huh? Delvin Bryant from the 40. 2nd down 9 over the middle. Complete. That's Mark Boyer, the tight end. First down catch at the 30-yard line. 10-yard pickup.
Earlier in the game, Tim Green did not make very good reads. Here he reads the blitz. You see number 42 right there in the middle of your screen, Tommy Taylor coming in. This time he dumps the ball off to Mark Boyer, the tight end, who also read the blitz, jumped into the area that Taylor left from, and that means first down. Good read.
They don't throw to Boyer that often. That's only his 7th catch this year. Pola, Crutcher in the backfield. First down from the 30. Cormier in motion. 3-0 UCLA. Crutcher, the workhorse. Across the 30 to the 29, a gain of 1. Last week, Crutcher carried the ball 35 times. Earlier this year, he carried it 41 times. But when you're a tailback at USC, you expect to be used a lot.
The durability of the position has really been the trademark over the years for Southern Cal. Think of all the 1,000-yard rushers they've had. It's been design of offense is one thing, but secondly, they've really been able to play week after week and carry the ball 30, 40 times.
2nd down, 9 from the 29. 4:14 to go. First quarter, 3-0. The difference, a 46-yard field goal by John Lee. Pitch to Crutcher. Cola ahead of him blocking. To the 25, and he'll be dropped at the 24-yard line. Tommy Taylor roaming from sideline to sideline. And we may have Crutcher shaken up. He is not getting up. It'll be a 3rd and 3. This is an anxious moment for the Trojans.
Well, Fred Crutcher again is going to follow James Fitzpatrick, number 70, and number 77, Ken Rutgers, who's having that big year, as you mentioned. He's just trying to get outside, but there's 2 or 3 defenders, and his knee looks like gets caught underneath him, Gary. He's had some injury problems with his knee over the years.
And so we're going to take a break at the 3:51 mark as they look Crutcher over.
There's a time in life for the young to say, I want something else, a different way. The town's the same, the people too. School is over, need something to do. The services have it, it'll really show. You'll see new places, you'll really grow in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Challenge, adventure, excitement too, a time to enjoy and see something new. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. You'll work hard, feel really free, serving your country for all to see in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Be part of a team, be friends forever. A part of the services you won't forget ever. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. It's a great place to start.
There's a style in your life no one could ever deny. You're on your way to the top, and along the way you've always known just who you are. Where you're going, you've always known it. Where you're going, it's Michelob.
Where you're going, it's exceptionally smooth Michelob.
Where you're going, it's Michelob.
Sunday after 60 Minutes, a lady killer's loose and Jessica's next. Could it be Peter Graves, Greg Morris, or Andrew Stevens? Find out on Murder, She Wrote.
Well, it's week number 12 of the NFL season, and playoff spots up for grabs. It all begins with the NFL today, and be sure now to check the local listings for the game in your area. Crutcher walked off the field. We'll get an update on his injury. And you mentioned, Pat, the knee. He had a severe knee injury a couple of years ago against Oklahoma. Last year, never really got the knee back where he wanted it. But this year, it's gotten stronger, and we hope that's not the problem he's facing right now. 3rd and 3. Interested they're not going for the field goal, maybe on 4th down? What do you think?
The last 2 weeks on 3rd and 3, they've run the ball, and they've been very successful with it.
Here comes Green. Beautiful catch. Hank Norman, 1st down. That'll be at the 12-yard line, 11-yard reception. James Washington defending for UCLA.
A nice change of pace by Ted Toner, because the last 2 weeks they have run the ball in this situation every time, but Fred Crutcher gets hurt, so they roll Timmy Green out. He finds Hank Norman, number 83, for just enough yardage for the 1st down. The rollout pass gets him away from the rush a little bit. You can land Hank Norman. Hank Norman is 6'4", and he really makes some nice stretching catches. He did that last week as well.
His coaches say he's just come alive. He's playing the best he's ever played. 11-yard pickup. Give to Ryan Knight, who's now in a tailback for Crutcher. He gains 3 to the 10. They can get a 1st and goal at the 2. Whalen and Delacono combining on the stop, and that guy's going to have a problem getting that off after the game is over.
Well, if Southern Cal wins, he's not going to be too worried about it for at least a few hours, I'm sure.
This is the 10th play now of this drive. USC started from their own 20-yard line. 2nd down, 7, just inside the 10. Ted Toner was so honest with his team. He said, I'm celebrating, you've been celebrating, we've all got to work together and get our feet on the ground. Ryan Knight to the 5. The freshman from Riverside, California, Tommy Taylor, over to make the tackle, along with James Washington. It's going to be 3rd and 3.
Watch the lead block of number 85, Joe Cormier, right here. They're going to run right toward him. He is 6'6". He blocks out the sun on a lot of guys. See the way he kicks out? Number 6, Dennis Price, leaves a big hole there for Ryan Knight, number 26, who has a little bit more speed than Fred Crutcher. This is the kind of drive that Terry Donahue was very concerned about USC. That big offensive line, controlling the football, controlling the clock.
3 yards to go. Ryan Knight trying to get a 1st and goal. Doesn't look like he has it. Washington, Knowles combine on the stop. If he doesn't, it's going to be 4th.
Looks like he's already made his decision. Ted Tolmer has for going for it. He sent in his 3rd tight end, number 89, Eric McKee.
That was what I started to ask you. They seemingly don't let Jordan's ability affect their play calling as much as some teams.
Well, if the Rose Bowl were on the line now, you'd see them kick a field goal.
Crutcher now has come back in. Ryan Knight comes out. 4th and less than a yard.
USC tailbacks have made a living of going up and over on this situation.
Crutcher, and he's not going to get it. Excellent play by Tony Phillips, number 49.
This UCLA defense has risen to the occasion many times this year inside the 20-yard line. Against Arizona State, they stopped them inside the 5-yard line. Here, Tony Phillips, watch the surge of the defensive front of UCLA, and then 49, Tony Phillips, breaks through after Crutcher's forced to bounce it outside and stops him short of the 1st down. That's excellent defense. That is all determination. That is emotion down there, Gary, by the UCLA defense.
As you said, had the Rose Bowl been on the line, they would have gone for the field goal.
Absolutely.
Now, the Bruins backed up deep. Wiley Andrews, the running back. Mel Farr goes in motion. Wiley, the fullback, and nothing develops there.
It's very important for UCLA here to at least pick up 1 first down so Bounafe, their punter, is not punting out of the back of the end zone. Remember, SC feels they can block a punt.
SC had the ball 5 minutes and 48 seconds and didn't score, and there's 1:12 left in this 1st quarter. Neil Hope, by the way, is in there defensively for USC. You recall he was shaken up earlier in the game.
Terry Donahue says emotion is going to play a large part of our game. They were very emotional down there on defense.
2nd down, virtually 10. Bono from the end zone. Broken up beautifully. That was McDonald. There's a penalty flag, however. It looked like McDonald pulled it off, but the official didn't agree.
Tim McDonald knocked the ball down with his left hand, but I believe with his right hand he did interfere. Here's a look at it. Again, an interesting call. You're backed up. Remember, they have to get a 1st down to get something going downfield so they don't have a long punt. They throw the ball outside. His left hand knocked the ball down, but did you see Tim McDonald's right arm? It was right on the back of the receiver there, and that's where the interference was. It was a good call by the official. There's his right arm before the ball gets there. Good call.
That was Mel Farr, the man who was in motion that they threw it to. The freshman out of Detroit, his brother, of course, or should say his father, the former All-American who played with Terry Donahue. They were on the same team at UCLA. Now what? They're going to step it off. Now, one thing you got to understand, a new rule, it's not from the spot of the foul. It's 15 yards from the previous point.
But that still will give UCLA a 1st down.
Defensive pass.
So Bono, standing in his own end zone, now gets some breathing room as he's able to use that penalty to move it out to the 18-yard line. 3-0 the Bruins. 50 seconds left in the 1st quarter. Bono, that's up for grabs and incomplete. That was McDonald again over there. Intended for Mike Sherrard. You talk about a busy week at CBS. Look at this. Friday, Thanksgiving Friday, the BC Eagles and Doug Flutie against Bernie Kosar and the Hurricanes of Miami. 2:30 Eastern. And then Indiana-Louisville. First time these two clubs have gone against each other. Denny Crum and Bobby Knight. That's 1 o'clock Eastern. That'll be followed by the game in the Coliseum. The Irish of Notre Dame winning big today over Penn State.
Is it college basketball season already?
You got to believe that. Here's Bono, quarterback draw, and that did not work. That's an understatement because Brian Luft, number 90, was there quickly to make the tackle.
USC was concerned, but watching on the left part of the screen, number 90 is going to come right in and stop the quarterback draw. This is a play that UCLA has had some success on this year, but Brian Luft, number 90, just defeated the offensive blocker, Mike Hartmere, on him and was there to put the stop on Bono.
Third down now, 12 yards to go. The line of scrimmage, the 16. Inside 10 seconds left in the first quarter. Bono with time. On target. Complete to Tunnell. That's his 20th catch of the year. Considerably short of the first down. And that stops the clock with 3 seconds. So even though they got some operating room with a penalty, they're still going to have to give the football up, as Bounafe will go back to punt. While Bounafe leads the Pac-10, the reason that USC thinks they can block a punt is the snap is not all that crisp, not that good velocity-wise.
It doesn't get back to the punter very quickly.
Hopper back for the punt. Again, it was close, and they have roughed him. There's a penalty flag. UCLA will get the ball back. Hopper is downed at the 25, but that's all academic. Colorado, Tony Colorado, number 92, is the man who landed in the midst of Bounafe.
Kevin Bounafe did two things here. Once, get the ball off quickly so that the ball is not blocked, and then he takes a nice little blow there by Colorado, and this is the price that USC is going to pay. If they feel they're going to be able to block a punt, there's always the risk that this is going to happen. Colorado was up in the air. There was nothing he could do. That's a first down for the Bruins.
Well, we'll sort this one out as we have come to the end of this first quarter. The Bruins with a 3-0 lead.
On the defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down, will extend the quarter play.
You cannot end the quarter on a penalty, and so we will play one more, even though time has expired in this first quarter.
The two big penalties by the USC defense has given UCLA second life twice now.
The penalty will set it up at the 37-yard line. Two penalties has kept UCLA moving. Both times the Trojan defense looked like they had stopped him. Once the pass interference, and now they're roughing the kicker. Kind of mistakes that last week they couldn't have afforded against Washington. Here is Bono on a bootleg pass, incomplete. And that, in fact, will end the first quarter. Sherrard, number 82, the intended receiver. UCLA with a 3-0 lead over the Trojans in this outstanding rivalry. We'll return after this commercial break and a word from your local station.
Test pilot Chuck Yeager for AC Delco.
This flight doesn't get scrubbed for bad weather. A high-performance fighter has the technology to handle it. So does this, the all-weather Delco Freedom Battery, with the power to start you in the cold and the technology to beat the heat. And you never add a drop of water. Never wait for trouble. Get the all-weather Delco Freedom Battery.
From $39.95 for a Series 40, call 800 AC Delco.
You've got the spirit. You keep on coming through. Your pride is strong. You won't just make it do. With every job you leave a little bit of you.
We started with an idea, a promise, a commitment to American farming and trucking we've been building for over 150 years, and now we're honoring it in more ways than ever before. International Harvester. The commitment is forever.
College basketball returns to CBS Sports with a matchup of the traditional powers. The Louisville Cardinals take on Bobby Knight's Indiana Hoosiers. Next Saturday on CBS Sports.
This is CBS. Time doesn't wait, and neither can you. Take advantage of Kistler Ford's special purchase of Ford Ranger pickup trucks and special finance arrangements. The largest selection and lowest possible finance rates allow Kistler Ford to offer brand new Ranger pickups for as low as $104 per month. Or you can lease a new Ranger for only $99 per month with no money down. That's right, no money down. But hurry, offers for a limited time only at Kistler Ford on the Central Avenue Strip.
Hi, we're Sunoco's Christmas helpers. Hi. Have you heard about Sunoco's Christmas bonus game? Christmas bonus game? You could win $1,000 a year for life, or lots of instant cash prizes. $1,000 a year for life? Just pick up your game card at your participating Sunoco dealers. Instant cash prizes. If 3 Christmas ornaments match, you win. I win! He won! He won! Don't interrupt! I win! I win! I win!
Backstage at The Young and the Restless, Monday at 11.
We played 15 minutes in this 54th meeting. UCLA with a 3-0 lead. The Trojans continuing to make some mistakes. And UCLA still has the football. 2nd down 10 from the 37-yard line. Quarter number 2. Danny Andrews with the ball to the 41-yard line. Brent Moore making the stop. Rivalries bring with it a certain amount of pressure. Part of the pressure in this game, Pat, is just that you're recruiting the same kids.
Well, you're absolutely right. You're always recruiting the same kids. You're in their family, with their families, in their homes with the parents. But the interesting thing here is USC really has come out flat, Gary. I don't think they are emotionally don't seem to be up for the football game at this point.
Well, they're coming off of that big win. It's 3rd down 7 now from the 41-yard line. Bono. Gerard, the intended receiver. Tyler, number 1, is over there defending. Going to bring up still 7 yards to go. Let's go to New York and Pat O'Brien.
All right, Gary, let's check in and see how some of the independents did today. Navy upset South Carolina, big upset of the day, 31-21. Boston College beat Syracuse 24-16. And Notre Dame practiced for USC next weekend by rolling over Penn State 44-7. Let's go back to Gary.
3-0 here. Well, there's what? Only one unbeaten team now, BYU, after Gamecocks. It's a shocker as Bounefe, a beautiful punt. Hopper at the 10-yard line. And Hopper's out of bounds at the 16. A 49-yard punt by Bounefe, who's averaging 44 for the year. 3-0, UCLA with the lead.
This is Chevrolet Corvette.
You've never seen anything like this before.
A Corvette superb in its engineering and defiant in its performance.
Never before.
Corvette performance you won't believe. And a digital information center you can't ignore. This is your Corvette, America. Technology. That's today's Chevrolet.
You have to draw the line someplace. Then cross over it. That's how new ideas start. How new worlds open up. Technology from a company called TRW helps chart new worlds. Today we draw the line where it has never been before. Tomorrow we'll cross over it. Tomorrow is taking shape at a company called TRW.
Friday, a duel between 2 of college football's top passers. Heisman candidate Doug Flutie and Boston College face Bernie Kosar and Miami. Friday on CBS Sports.
3-0, UCLA, 14:08 to go in the second quarter. Tim Green, they were going to redshirt him this year, but then the injury to Sean Salisbury, and this is his 7th start. And he's now able to conduct his own press conferences.
They give him an hour a week. Plenty of time to stick his foot in his mouth.
There's Crutcher, and Crutcher hit by Ken Norton. No gain on the play.
You know, it's funny. Different quarterbacks just have different personalities. He has obviously done the job with his personality. He's 6-0 as a starter. I was a very quiet quarterback. I would never say some of the things that he did. But remember, Joe Kapp was the same type of quarterback that he is. His teammates have responded well to Tim Green. They like his personality, and they have played well for him. So that's really the key.
He said, we're going to whip him. He didn't even mince his words when he said it, huh? Second down 10 now for Tim Green and the Trojans, who trail 3-0. Broken up by the interior of that defense. Doug Wassel is in there, 75. There's Knowles, along with Ron Butler, 86.
We're seeing a very emotional UCLA defense, but this offensive line of USC has a great deal of pride. Watch number 77 right there in the middle of your screen, Ken Rutgers. He is their senior, the best offensive lineman right now. He's blocking against Wassel, number 75, and doing an excellent job of giving Green plenty of opportunity. The ball was just tipped, but good blocking by Rutgers.
That was Ron Butler, the senior from Greenville, South Carolina, that batted the ball down. Third down. Third down and 10. And we have a flag thrown, some movement. Looks like maybe we'll have to lay a game on Tim Green. Let's see. That's what it is. 5-yard penalty. Now, some of that emotional nature may cause some problems in that area.
Well, you're right. He has done that a number of times this year. But last week in their championship effort against Washington, USC only had 3 penalties, Gary. Here in the first half alone, where they've had 5 or 6 penalties.
You know, we were talking about Thanksgiving. We want to mention on Turkey Day itself, Detroit, Green Bay. That's always been in that black and blue division, not for the faint of heart.
You'll be eating a lot of bird on that day, I know, as you always do.
Oh, yeah, I'll get my share. A 5-yard penalty makes it third down, 15 yards to go. Fumble. And UCLA has it.
Looked like Tim Green, the quarterback from USC, wanted to pitch the ball, and he's got Ryan Knight, a freshman there. Looked like he was going to try to pitch it. There was some miscommunication in the handoff, and Ryan Knight never really had the ball. It was on his hip, and the ball came loose. Again, last week against Washington, USC only had 1 turnover. Right now, they've already had 2, and they're faced with a very emotional Neil Delacono and UCLA defense.
That's his 4th fumble recovery this year, and you see the turnovers, 2 now against USC. Bono gives to Wiley. A little counter action to the 12. Ryan left. Knighty made the stop, a gain of 2. That's what happens, I guess, Pat, sometimes when you change your tailback. Ryan Knight coming in, and it just didn't look like the play was executed properly at all.
And there's the guy who made the recovery, Neil Delacono. And as you mentioned, he's played so well this year. He's recovered, what, 4 fumbles, 5 fumbles, had sacks.
He's a big play guy. He has 8 sacks, now 4 fumble recoveries. It's now second down and 8. Bono for the corner. Intended receiver was Mike Young, number 18, and McDonald along with Darrell Hopper over defending. It'll be third and 8.
Mike Young was double covered here. There really was not much room to throw the football. And Steve Bono's going to give it a try, though, but he does a nice thing and throws it far enough so that if Mike Young can't catch it, at least the Trojan defender is not going to.
Mike Young has been hot. We mentioned he had 27 catches in the last 5 games. He had only 3 in the first 3. Remember that injury he sustained here in the Rose Bowl? Against Nebraska, he ran into the wall. Third and 8.
Southern Cal defense really needs to hold here.
We have a new quarterback, Matt Stevens, who pitches back. Matt Stevens was in. They snuck him in on that play.
They snuck him in at tailback. They pitched him the ball trying to fool the USC defense. It looked like Matt just threw it out there expecting a receiver to be there, but there was no one there. And this can happen in this type of game, Gary, when there's not quite as much at stake. There's number 11 at the tailback spot. You can tell he's not a tailback by the way he was lined up. Did you see that stance? But he just throws the ball over there. He's expecting somebody from UCLA to be there, but there is no one there. But he paid the price for being a tailback. I'm sure he's not going to want to play a tailback too much more.
He'll be the quarterback next year for the Bruins. This will be a 29-yard field goal attempt now by Lee, who earlier hit a 46-yarder. Lee's kick is on the way, and he has been so outstanding. And he's now 2 for 2 today. 26 field goals for the year. UCLA adds to their advantage. Now lead it 6-0.
Aha, pink footprints. A clue that this house is built with high-quality building products. Observe Exhibit A, the pink attic blanket insulation from Owens Corning. The most powerful roll of thermal protection you can buy. Follow me. Exhibit B, long-lasting roof shingles with a heart of pink fiberglass. Again, from Owens Corning. And attractive, easy-to-install Owens Corning fiberglass ceiling panels. Yeah! Finally, the high-quality Owens Corning tub shower. Its slip-resistant surface has a, excusez-moi, a pink panther.
Owens Corning, our building products put your house in the pink.
Well, USC has to be, I guess, thankful they didn't give up more than 3 after that fumble recovery. Pat, you just keep coming back to the point you don't feel that USC has recovered from that big win of a week ago.
Well, Ted Tolner even admitted it, their head coach, that he really himself could not really come off that emotional high over Washington until Tuesday or Wednesday. I think we are seeing a very flat USC team, a UCLA team that's been a little bit more freewheeling and a much more emotional.
And they'll gain some confidence as this game wears on. Now the 6-0 lead, and this ball will be out of the back. That will come to the 30-yard line as it cleared the end zone. Let's go now to New York and join Pat O'Brien.
All right, Gary, BYU struggled early in this game with Utah, but then Robbie Bosco, this is his 3rd touchdown of the day. The way things are going, BYU could end up #1 by Monday, 24-14. Let's go back to Gary and Pat.
Did you see that pass by Bosco?
Almost underhanded. Remind me of the one that Doug Flutie threw behind his back this year.
A floater, but it made the mark, didn't it? First down now at the 30 for the Trojans. 12:29 left in this first half. Fullback is Kennedy Pola, who's playing under some duress. He has some legs that are really giving him a difficult time, but he's in there battling, and that time picking up about a yard. Norton and Toomey make the stop. Wisconsin, who is in the running for a bowl, defeating Michigan State. That's 7-3-1 for the year.
Well, Purdue's had a big
Indiana.
year.
Yep.
That's a surprise to me that Notre Dame won that big over Penn State.
Well, they'll head out here now with a 6-4 record.
But Alabama's not going to a bowl game, what, for the first time in 25 years, I believe?
Gain of 3 on that last play. It'll be 2nd down 7. Here is Green. Pola, the fullback, first down. Ken Norton over to make the stop. And Pola, for a guy who had to be carried off the field and couldn't practice early in the week, is doing a pretty good job.
Well, you don't hear classical music in the background when he's out there running around, do you? He's one of those guys who gets the job done. He is not a big pass receiver for them, but he made a nice little catch there.
What's this classical music?
Well, look at him. I mean, do you hear Tchaikovsky when you see 37 there? Do you think of Tchaikovsky?
Well, maybe Mozart. I mean, gain 8 on that play, first down. Pola hasn't really figured that much in their receiving game, but he made the most of that. Looks like Green's changing the play. Complete to Norman. And Norman's close to another first down inside the 50-yard line. 10-yard pickup. Washington and Norton combining on the tackle. Oklahoma, Nebraska. Oklahoma should say Nebraska wins that. They'll be the Big 8 champs for the 4th straight time. I just can't figure this game at all, Navy.
Boy.
We saw BYU scoring a moment ago. Oklahoma State, they're waiting to see how Oklahoma, Nebraska finish so they could figure in that Big 8 title. Florida, isn't that something? They are now, for the first time, Southeastern Conference champions, at least a piece of it at this stage.
Keelan Hall's done an outstanding job under a lot of duress there this year.
On a first down, Ryan Knight, who fumbled earlier, this time close to the 45-yard line. A gain of 3. It'll be 2nd down 7. Dennis Price, number 6, making the tackle. Now there's the other team that wants to get a piece of the SEC crown and tie Florida, and this game is being played in Fort Worth. And Ohio State's coming out here, this very place, the Rose Bowl.
We're going to enjoy the weather out here. Boston College, Doug Flutie got past a tough Syracuse defense, and SMU shutout at halftime.
SMU's the only team that's beaten Texas Christian. From the 46. 2nd down, long 2:47 to go. Green on target. Timmy Ware, who made those big catches last week against Washington, makes a first down grab, a 14-yard completion.
Tim Green, Gary, looks a little bit more settled down now. Early in the game, we saw him make a couple of mistakes, force some throws. Here, they pick up the blitz. USC does. Timmy Green drills the ball to Timmy Ware, who's wide open. Remember, when you get a blitz in front of you, the defensive backs generally are going to have to cover man for man. Timmy Ware beat the coverage, and the ball was well thrown by Green. But he does look more settled to me.
As we were saying earlier, SMU was the team that defeated TCU. That's the only one, and it was Houston that defeated Texas. Here's Cormier in motion. First down from the 34. Ryan Knight to the 31-yard line. Taylor and Norton. Norton playing a lot in there. He is the son of the former heavyweight champion who was our player of the game against California.
Over a big interception and a fumble recover.
Second down, 8. George Welch at Virginia has done a remarkable job this year, and Maryland, after that big come from behind last week and winning this week.
I believe that was down there at in Clemson too.
Second down, 8. Clemson plays South Carolina next week in Death Valley. Green on a 2nd and 8. Dropped. Cormier had it and dropped it. That would have been a first down catch at the 22.
This was a nice touch and a nice throw by Tim Green. He got it over a couple of defenders. Just Cormier, number 85, going in motion to try to do that, to try to confuse the coverage. He goes behind the short man. The ball is well thrown. He's so concerned about getting his feet in bounds that he takes his eye off the ball. The result, there's the ball there on the ground.
Green now 6 of 10 for 61 yards and the 1 interception. Third down and 8. Ware split to the bottom. Norman to the top of the screen. Ware comes in motion. Green dumps it to Pola again. He's found a new life on this football team, and that'll be a first down run to the 21-yard line, and he's their secret weapon now as far as passing is concerned.
Well, they're not going to forget Hugh McElhaney here, but Kennedy Pola did make a nice little catch. His second reception here. Good protection for Timmy Green. Look at that offensive line, the protection that Green has. And then he dumps the ball off to Kennedy Pola, and he dumps the ball off here because he knows he has a very good kicker, Steve Jordan, behind him, so that if he doesn't pick up the first down, they can get 3. However, Pola made a very nice run, and he's injured after the run. He's had trouble with those knees all year long.
He had surgery on both knees. Now, last week he was carried off because of cramps. So after a very fine catch and run for the first down, we have a timeout. 9:43 to go in this first half. 6-0 UCLA.
I'm Mr. Goodwrench. You know what starts when your engine starts? Engine wear.
50 strokes, 100 strokes, 200 piston strokes of wear per second. Only a fine lubricant can protect it. Like GM Goodwrench Motor Oil, the motor oil from General Motors that meets or exceeds all GM specifications.
Great protection from me, Mr. Goodwrench.
To keep that great GM feeling with genuine GM parts. Nothing works like a Chevy truck. Nothing works like a Chevy truck. Tough on the job, easy on the buck. Nothing works like a Chevy truck.
Rugged, massive girder beam front suspension. Tough double wall construction in critical areas. And new Vortec V6 power. A hard day's work goes easier when you have a truck with the built-in tough of a Chevy.
Nothing works like a Chevy truck. Nothing works like a Chevy truck.
USC's depth in the backfield is really being depleted. Pola's out of there now, and Zep Lee, 34, has come in. Polo's the 2 catches today for 18 yards. He had 1 catch prior to today for a -4. Crutcher, we understand, has a groin pull. They run out of people to play. And here is Zep Lee, who just checked in, and he's to the 19. Eric Smith making the tackle, gain of 3. Let's go to New York now and Pat O'Brien.
All right, Gary, I want to tell you about the big day in Florida today. Florida first beat Kentucky 25-17 in Lexington. With that win, they clinch at least a tie for their first SEC title. And after the game, Galen Hall was awarded the head coaching job. Let's go back to Gary.
Well, I don't know how Florida could have done anything else the way Galen Hall has coached since taking over. Second down and 7. Ryan Knight is back in at tailback. Here he is with the football. To the 19, no gain. It'll be third down. Eric Smith again, 98 made the tackle. And Eric Smith is an interesting development, Pat. He's a freshman. He had 2 sacks last week, 4 for the year, and he's seen considerable playing time.
UCLA has done a wonderful job of recruiting freshman linebackers. Eric Smith being one, Ken Norton you mentioned a little bit earlier, Eugene McGaw. And it's David Randall, number 64. David Randall's another one injured. It's a very intense, emotional, and hard-hitting game out there, believe me.
Well, this is the conclusion of the regular season for the Bruins, but of course USC will have to get ready for that game next week against the Irish of Notre Dame. Talk about tough. Washington, UCLA, and Notre Dame all in a row. We'll be back.
Plug in a cartridge, move a mouse, and paint a picture on a computer. But don't settle for black and white when you can paint in living, sparkling color. Anything in color. The Towers of Oz, the Treasures of Atlantis, a geology report, an annual report, a people report. The computer is the IBM PC Junior. The program, the new PC Junior Color Paint. See them both at a store near you and draw your own conclusion.
They say it takes a big computer company to build a big computer. Sure.
Who else?
But Goodyear said, "Wanna bet?" and built a supercomputer for NASA. Goodyear did?
Yeah, the aerospace group.
Goodyear's computer can add or subtract 6.5 billion times a second.
What?
It's one of the world's fastest computers. See what you can do when you don't listen to what they say. Goodyear.
For the New York Giants quarterback, Phil Simms, to score on the Cardinals, he must exploit their man-to-man defense. See the Giants against the Cardinals among the regional games tomorrow on CBS Sports.
Here's our menu for Thanksgiving. The Packers against the Lions, starting with the NFL today, and then Thanksgiving Friday. If you're still eating some turkey, then join us. Boston College against Miami. That's in the Orange Bowl. And then on Saturday, we begin with our first game in basketball, Louisville against Indiana, followed then by a game from the Coliseum. USC, Ted Tollner and the Trojans going against the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, who won big today over Penn State. Third down, 7. In the backfield now is Paul Green, number 45, a freshman. This is the first week he's played fullback. He's a tight end by trade, and Green's in trouble. Dropped by Craig Rutledge, is playing an outstanding game, and Green now is telling his UCLA counterparts what he thinks of that play.
UCLA defense is so emotional, as Tim Green is, but you hit the nail on the head. Paul Green is his first play at fullback. His very first play, he gets a blitz, and he doesn't know who to pick up. And there's number 30, Craig Rutledge, the man who had the interception earlier in the game, right in Tim Green's face. A difficult position to put Paul Green, a freshman, that he's never played the position of fullback before.
He knows some of the offense, but he didn't know that part of it.
And that's what Tim Green was reminding him of. He said, when you see those big guys, you block them.
This will be a 45-yard field goal attempt by Steve Jordan. Jordan, excellent. Last week with 3 field goals against Washington. The kick is on the way, and it's good. So the Trojans now have added 3 points, and it's 6-3 in favor of UCLA.
Terry Donahue was excited that his defense really didn't give up another touchdown. That defense is doing a marvelous job. They're very emotional, as you can see that they're following the lead of their head coach.
Back east, we had a lot of activity, and look at this. West Virginia's lost their 3rd in a row. Temple's been a surprise this year in the East. Rutgers has played well this year.
Is that Colgate?
Colgate. Is the first team to win all 7 of their Ivy League games over Cornell. Again, as we said, Harvard bit the dust today. And Princeton over Dartmouth. (6-3). Jordan, who just booted the field goal, will kick off as Garibaldi and Green go back. A 45-yard field goal by Jordan, who this year has kicked one as far away as 53. don't think the Pac-10 has some good field goal kickers?
With the Zendejas brothers, these two guys here today.
Jeff Jager of Washington. They're going to bring this out, are they? This has been a problem all year for UCLA. A late decision, but it's paying off. Gaston Green, the freshman, out to the 34. Bad decision, but a good end result.
It's interesting, Terry Donahue said their kickoff return has been horrible all year, and the rule was if you catch the ball in the end zone this week, you stay there. Well, he's a freshman. He caught the ball in the end zone, but he knew he was going to make something out of it, and so often that happens. He popped through the initial wave of coverage by USC and puts the offense in excellent field position.
At the 34, Gaston Green and Ryan Knight were considered to be the two best running backs in California. They'll be playing each other 3 years hence. Nothing on that play. Andrews hit by Brent Moore and Brian Luff, Tony Colorado. You can name all of them. Let's go to New York. Here's Pat.
All right, Gary, the top three positions in the rankings could be shuffled around. Now, Oklahoma is beating #1 Nebraska in the second quarter, 7-0. Navy upended South Carolina today, 38-21. And BYU has just defeated Utah. They're in a position to be #1 now. Let's go back to Gary.
Position for #1, but would they ever be voted there? The only unbeaten team. Here is Bono over the middle to Danny Andrews. Andrews has an open field to the 45 to the 40. First down. McDonald Hope makes the tackle. A 26-yard pickup.
Steve Bono delivered this ball, but he did take a big pop after he got rid of the ball. Remember, we talked about throwing the ball underneath the coverage of USC. Bono did get hit. He picked up a wonderful block there by number 88, Al Wilson, his wide receiver, that allowed Andrews to pop outside. Here's another look at Bono. This is what happens in so many quarterbacks. He stepped up into the pocket, whack, he gets hit there, but it doesn't feel too badly when you come up with a big first down.
First down from the 40. Bono pitches back. Gaston Green, the freshman's got the corner, and he has a first down, and you're seeing his speed. He's the fastest running back they have. He has what they say is track speed. That's a 12-yard pickup.
In college football today, Gary, there is so much parity. There are other things that really make a difference between winners and losers, and it's unity on teams, and it's emotion, and you're seeing the difference here today. Both of these teams athletically match up pretty well. The difference today is one of those intangibles, the emotion of UCLA.
From the 29, first down after that 12-yard pickup. 6.5 minutes left in the first half. 6-3 UCLA. Brian Wiley, the senior, to the 25. A gain of 3. Second down and 7. Keith Biggers making the tackle, number 17 for USC.
The last 2 times down here, UCLA has been very conservative and relied on John Lee, their kicker. He's come through for them twice. They need to get 7 on the board this time. Would be a big emotional lift for their team. They may have to take a little bit more risk here and throw the ball with Bono.
This game is for the championship of Los Angeles. It's the Rose Bowl. 90,000 plus on hand for the 54th meeting. The Bruins of UCLA lead it 6-3. I'm Gary Bender along with Pat Hayden as we come to a 2nd and 7 for UCLA. Danny Andrews will go no place this time. They must have 7 men on top of him on that play.
Well, again, a very conservative call again by UCLA. They have all the emotion going their way. It seems to me Bono ought to drop back, dump the ball in one of those short passes to Andrew, get in a position to get in the end zone rather than relying on John Lee too much. Andrews is that big league catcher. That is probably his best asset, is catching the football. And as you mentioned, why not use it? Caught 25, 26 passes this season. From the 27 now, 3rd down and 8. Bono, number 56 in there at linebacker now for USC. He does the snapping for him on placements. Bono back, time to throw over the middle, and I don't know who he was throwing to. I guess Sherrard. You might be right, but had they thrown the ball on 2nd down underneath the coverage, they would have had another down, even if they had thrown it incomplete. But now John Lee trots on, automatic. He's been absolutely sensational all year long. He came in here tied with Chris White of Illinois and Mike Pringle of Western Michigan with 24 field goals for the year. Now he's booted 2, so he could be the scoring champion before this is all over as far as number of field goals. He's had 4 games where he's kicked 3 field goals or more this year. This will be a 43-yard attempt. He's hit one from 29 and 46 thus far. Makes it look easy, doesn't he? 3 for 3 is John Lee. He had 6 field goals in 1 game earlier this year. He might go after that before this one's over. 9-3, the Bruins. This Doesn't he have an outside?
Looks like you're into winning.
You bet.
Then today Chevrolet has a car for you. Cavalier.
Come on in, and you'll know. Turn it on, let it go. It's at your command.
2 liters of electronically fuel-injected power, front drive agility, and optional sports suspension. Cavalier. Grab one.
If this is today's Chevrolet, it's a winner.
Drive today, Chevy. Live today, Chevy.
Live it.
Chevy.
These days, deciding what kind or color of paint to buy can be as difficult as finding a salesperson. But at True Value Hardware stores, you'll find knowledgeable salespeople to assist you, plus quality True Test paint. With their modern custom color system, they can help you coordinate colors, and they attend True Test paint training seminars to keep informed on the latest paints and applications. So get quality True Test paint and helpful advice from the specialists at participating True Value Hardware stores and home centers.
9-3 UCLA, the Goodyear Blimp Columbia. What a panoramic view. I don't know of any more majestic setting than here in the Rose Bowl, as our pilot Tom Mattis kind of just circles overhead.
My kids want one of those.
Got expensive taste. Kickoff by Potter, and it's going to come out to the 30-yard line as it went out of the back of the end zone. Well, we want to tell you where we're going to be during this holiday season. The Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas will be one of those dates, December 22nd. And then the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. And then the Cotton Bowl on the New Year's Day Classic, the 49th such event in the Big D, Dallas, Texas. Terry Donahue's team with a 9-3 lead, 3 field goals, but you'll get it any way you can.
And his defense has not been on the field too much in the first half, and that's what he wanted.
Tim Green starting the series from the 30, setting up. Norman, the intended receiver, a little too long for him. Craig Rutledge, 30, over defending for UCLA. Well, we mentioned the Cotton Bowl, and one of those teams that would like to get there is Texas, and they're leading TCU.
Well, we saw Texas in the Cotton Bowl last year, and they really had an opportunity to win a national championship. Remember, a fumbled punt probably cost Texas a national championship last year.
TCU has not beaten Texas since 1967. That game is being played in Fort Worth, the home of the Horned Frogs. Second down 10, quick look-in pass complete to Cormier. And that shows the speed. The ball has been fumbled, and UCLA has recovered. James Washington came up with it. 3rd turnover.
Tim Green does a wonderful job of reading the blitz. Remember a little earlier in the game, he saw the blitz and dumped the ball to his tight end. He does it here again. There's an open area there. But sometimes, Gary, when you're not emotionally ready for the game and your head is not in the football game, loose things like this, you handle the ball loosely. And that's what appears to be happening to USC right now. The ball was handled a little bit loosely by Cormier. It pops loose, and UCLA makes another recovery.
Here's a bootleg by Bono on 1st down. And incomplete, intended for Derek Tunnell. Good coverage that time by Neil Hope, 54.
Turnovers are the story. USC last week in that big win over Washington only turned the ball over once. Today, 3 times, and UCLA 0. Very good defense by UCLA today. Very emotional defense.
They turned it over once against Washington, who had been picking up 5 a game.
That's right.
Shows you how well they protected the ball, but today it's a different story.
Their head's not into it, I don't think.
Sherrard comes out. Mel Farr is in. That's Farr in motion. Skip comes off to Andrews. Andrews to the USC 45-yard line. It'll be a 5-yard pickup. Dwayne Fickett making the tackle.
Gary talked a little bit about parity in college football.
I think Andrews is shaken up.
Boy, a lot of players have been getting hurt today. Goodness.
Andrews with 90, or checked at 25 yards on 9 carries. And of course that big catch he made. Now, this is an interesting thing on UCLA. They've done a pretty good job as far as the pluses and minuses on losing the ball and getting the ball from someone.
Well, plus 12 is not bad at this stage in the football season. And today, that's really been a major factor in the difference in the game and why UCLA is leading 9-3. But an emotional defense like UCLA's can do that. Remember, they put excellent pressure on the quarterback. They put sacked quarterbacks 39 times. They've been in quarterbacks' faces, so they've intercepted a lot of passes.
Andrews is up and walking.
And we saw Fred Crutcher go out a little bit earlier, and now we're seeing Danny Andrews.
Gaston Green, who's looked very good on a couple of plays, will come in to replace him. Let's see if we can pick up how he got hurt.
Very physical football game today. It means a lot for the seniors of both of these teams, but he's just going to take the ball and go off tackle. And then just gets into a pile. And so often when you get into a big pile, like, oh, Dwayne Bickett, number 80, it looked like fell right on the back of his legs.
3rd down, 5. Bono, and the catch is made by Sherrard. That was an excellent catch. He had to stay in at the last moment to come up with it. A 19-yard completion. Tyler defending.
The footwork of Mike Sherrard, number 82. He's a long-legged receiver, a long strider, but he still can get behind his zone and watch his footwork after he catches the ball. Remember, they wanted to throw underneath the coverage, and they're going to throw underneath number 1, Jerome Tyler, but his right foot is down. In college football, that's a completion.
Only one needs to be down. That is the first time the UCLA has converted on 3rd down. Sherrard, Wilson now in at the wideout positions for the Bruins. 1st down, 4:02 left until halftime. This is Gaston Green. Gaston Green short-circuited that time by Bickett. Loss of a yard. Bickett, at the start of the year, was the other linebacker. It was all Jack Del Rio that was getting the ink. But now, as the year wears on, Bickett has certainly come up in everybody's estimation.
Well, he's a different type of player than Jack Del Rio. Dwayne Bickett plays over the tight end most of the day, and Jack Del Rio is on the open side. So Jack Del Rio may be more spectacular at times, but Dwayne Bickett is a very consistent, steady player. He's had a marvelous year.
2nd and 11. James Primus has come in for the first time in the running backfield. Bono back. Complete to Wiley and then drop. Oh. 90,000 people watching you at the 30-yard line, and he'd just like to crawl under the turf.
The Bears a little upset, too, the Bruin.
I don't think he's as concerned about the Bears as he is Terry Donahue. It's a gorgeous sight, Pat. I know you played in 3 Rose Bowls. You were an MVP in one of them. You ever get over the feeling of coming in here?
It's always a very special feeling walking into this stadium. You know, I will always remember that. And these players today, particularly the seniors, will remember today's contest.
3rd and 11. Here is Primus. Primus to the 20. It'll be a couple of yards short of the 1st down. Keith Biggers, 17, made the tackle.
John Lee comes in for his another attempt.
I know it. It's amazing. He's hit 3 in a row.
And if he does,
this will tie the NCAA record. Now, the record is 28 field goals. Luis Zendejas of Arizona State set it last year. This would tie.
I bet you makes it.
Your percentages on that bet are pretty good. You're really courageous. 37-yard attempt. Big rush was put on that time, but it does not faze John Lee. 4 for 4. He now has tied the NCAA record. And we still have 2.5 minutes left in the 1st half.
John Lee seems to be playing as much as anyone, and USC feels they can block it. Number 80 in the middle of the screen is Dwayne Bickett. 92 is Tony Colorado. They want to come right from the middle. They felt they could block a kick. No way, though. John Lee gets the ball up very, very quickly, and that is the key for any kicker. Watch the rush. The ball gets up, gets excellent height as soon as it leaves John Lee's toe, and you're not going to block those kind of kicks.
We're 12-3, and all of these points have come by the field goal.
Warm moments, she's such a delight. Rub it up, baby, the water's just right. Snuggle down cozy, baby, sleep tight. Let our gentle flame keep you warm tonight. Warm moments, for those warm moments, nothing warms you like gas.
Warm is what natural gas is all about. Clean, efficient, and in most areas, the lowest priced fuel. Shouldn't it be in your home?
Nothing warms you like gas.
Some things look hard, but once you know the secret, They're easy.
It's easy.
Some people think financing a new car is hard, but it isn't. It's easy.
It's as easy as GMAC.
With GMAC, buying or leasing a new GM car or truck is easy. Ask your GM dealer and see how easy it is. Financing a new car may seem hard, but once you know the secret,
It's as easy as GMAC.
It's easy.
A big Thanksgiving weekend of sports begins with a traditional NFL matchup between the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions Thursday on CBS Sports.
12-3 UCLA. John Lee 4 for 4. He's tied the NCAA record. We should mention not only did Zendejas have their record, but Paul Woodside of West Virginia had 28. And we have a lot of time left. I would think his chances are good. He might break it. USC they're going to bring it out, and that was a late decision, a very late decision that time by Elbert Watts, and not a good one. Craig Rutledge drops him, and Watts only got to the 15-yard line.
Well, it's a poor decision by Elbert Watts as well, particularly when you're playing a fired-up defense. Now, the ball is 5 yards deep. He fumbles it. He drops it. He picks it up. His other man, Randy Tanner, number 23, is trying to tell him to stay back in the end zone. Result is they're down on the 15-yard line, but even more so emotionally. It's another emotional play for UCLA. Again, college football is a game of emotion, and that man is not too emotionally pleased right now, I guarantee you.
They're out of sync.
You're right.
Watts, a former Oklahoma player, running that one out and unwisely doing so. Green's going to throw on first down. Norman, and he couldn't get turned around to get to the football. Defending over there was Dennis Price. Some critical games throughout this final weekend of the season for many of the clubs. That was the Ivy League championship for Penn. DC will move into next week against Miami with that win, and Virginia tied North Carolina, and Virginia very much in the bowl picture, and Ohio State will be here for the Rose Bowl. 9 of UCLA's points in this game have come off of turnovers. Here was Ryan Knight on a second down and 10, and nothing develops there. It'll be 3rd and 10. Taylor, Delacono over to make the stop. Remember the being out of sync? Well, this is the out of sync. You make 3 turnovers and 9 points have come off of that.
That's exactly what's happened. And as you mentioned, they are out of sync. They're out of rhythm. USC is throwing the ball on first down, but they're throwing the ball unsuccessfully. Generally, it's a good passing down, but they're not completing passes on first down, coming up with a lot of 2nd and long and 3rd and long situations.
And USC is not a good catch-up team, and they trail 12-3 with a minute 45 left in the first half, and Green will run it. And Green will have a first down and more. He looked like a fullback on that play.
You know what? Do you think he said he is not a cookies and milk type of quarterback? There's some people who are very emotional about this game. This game means so much to these young men. As we mentioned at the top of the show, they've all played together in high school or against one another. They've known each other since junior high school. The coaches have recruited all players and been in their households. That's why this game means so much. But watch it as Tim Green, he describes himself as not being a milk and cookies type of quarterback. The big things are like, Gary, you never saw me do this. He's going to run right over somebody or attempt to. Whap. That's James Washington, number 3, their leading tackler.
Only time I saw you do that was make a tackle after an interception.
Did a lot of that. They used to give me tackling practice.
14-yard pickup by Green. Oh, he overthrew his man that time. He couldn't seem to hook up with Mark Boyer, his tight end. He was open, but Green is decked after the play, and he's getting up slowly. Steve Davis and Pat O'Brien will be in the studio in New York, and they will tell you where some of the teams are headed on New Year's Day and through the holiday season, but not all of them. Still some decision making. Imagine the bowl committees are rushing around right now, especially with South Carolina getting beat today.
USC again threw the ball on first down unsuccessfully. They end up in a 2nd and 10 situation.
Green back, and Boyer, the intended receiver, can't hang on, and one of the reasons Tommy Taylor instantaneously was on him. Taylor is an all Pac-10 academic pick, just came out this week.
Again, USC being off rhythm here. Although Tim Green gets pretty good protection, good coverage, Tommy Taylor, number 42, the linebacker, had read that all the way. In USC's offense, their tight end plays a prominent role. Tommy Taylor, the linebacker, is very much aware of that. He's been kind of honing in on those linebackers all in the first half.
See, Polo is back in the ball game, shaking off that leg difficulty. Boy, is he tough. Green rolling out, throws back, and diving for the interception was Washington, and Welch was over there also. 4th down. And so for the first time, USC will punt the football. Paul Green will be called upon to do it. He's the guy we were talking about earlier, playing the fullback spot. He's learning a lot of things as a freshman, an excellent athlete. The rush, big rush. They do not get there in time. Not that good a punt. In fact, it's a very poor punt. That rush had to bother him. They're going to mark it at the 50-yard line, a 20-yard punt. That's tough. A freshman coming in. He missed the blitz on a fullback play, and now he has to have that kind of pressure against him on a punt. Next Friday, BC, Doug Flutie, Bernie Kosar. You think of 2 more exciting quarterbacks in one game?
And different styles of quarterbacking, too. It's really going to be fun.
And then Louisville. The Cardinals are going to have to get that center spot filled. And then Indiana, you're going to see Delray Brooks for the first time, an outstanding freshman. And then here in the Los Angeles area, the Coliseum, USC, Notre Dame. First down just inside the 50. Gaston Green. Jack Del Rio making the tackle at the 45. A gain of 3. It'll be 2nd down, 7.
1:05 left here in the first half. UCLA has all 3 of its timeouts. Remember, they have John Lee, who is still a major factor here in the end of the first half, kicking out perhaps his 5th field goal.
Bono pumping, double pumping, and nothing developing. Buck was putting some pressure on that time.
But he didn't get sacked. There's Steve Bono. He's been sacked 18 times coming into today's game, but did a nice job of getting rid of the ball there and perhaps giving John Lee an opportunity in a few more downs.
Bono has had really a hard luck season. He's had the injuries. He was out 3 games with a severe ankle sprain. And a lot of the NFL scouts say he's a mystery man. They're not real sure what kind of ability he has.
Well, everybody's been saying for 4 years he has all the talents. He's big, he's tall, he's strong, but he hasn't had the opportunity. And when he had it this year, he has not played consistently.
48 seconds left on a 3rd down now and 7. Bono on target. Brian Wiley. Wiley breaking tackles, has a first down at the 32. Dwayne Fickett is over there to make the stop, and they're in field goal range now for John Lee.
And UCLA has 3 timeouts. Again, we talked about UCLA throwing the ball underneath the coverage. An intelligent throw here by Steve Bono as he finds one of his backs, Brian Wiley, number 22, underneath the linebacker coverage. Now, if he didn't get a first down, it's no big deal because John Lee's going to come in and kick a field goal. But he did, after he caught the ball, he turned, got his body upfield, and picked up a first down.
UCLA asked for a timeout. They have 2 left, 39 seconds left in the first half. John Lee has kicked 4 field goals, and the worst, he's going to get a crack at the 5th one. And remember, the record for a game is 6. Bono, 6 of 14, 77 yards, and he's using that air as you were talking about.
That's exactly right. Homer Smith, their offensive coordinator of UCLA, said there was air in that secondary. A lot of space in between the linebackers and the deep backs, and that's exactly where they're attacking.
2 timeouts left. John Lee awaiting another opportunity with 39 seconds to go. Young and Sherrard split out. Bono overthrown, and that'll stop the clock. Mike Young, the intended receiver, with 34 seconds. It's hard to throw deep against USC. You cannot beat them deep. That was what Terry Donahue said.
You're absolutely right. They double covered both outside receivers, but they like Derek Tennell, their tight end, who they say he has speed. If USC is going to double those outside guys, I'll tell you, right down the middle on that last play, Derek Tennell, the tight end, would have caught a touchdown pass.
Crowd into this one now on a 2nd down 10. Bono on the option. option, pitches back to Green. Green to the 20, to the 15, to the 10. He's to the 5. "27 yards, and Gaston Green is starting to come on his own. Timeout now by the Bruins. They have one left.
And an excellent play call by UCLA here. They run an option play. They've run power football. They've thrown the ball downfield. They've thrown the ball underneath. And here they run a little option play. And it's tough to get a defensive rhythm for USC as well, because they have to defend so many different things. Gaston Green has the speed to get outside, as you mentioned. They have a 1st and goal on the 5 with 1 timeout remaining.
Del Rio was the man who made the tackle coming from the near side to the far side. UCLA with 1 timeout left, 26 seconds left, 1st and goal at the 5, and the Bruins with a 12-3 lead. That's Neil Hope, and they have to have some hope right now that they can stop, at least make them settle for the field goal.
This USC team right now is really shell-shocked. We've talked about them being emotionally flat. A touchdown, if they were to give up a touchdown right now, the combination of them being emotionally flat and the fact that they're not a very good catch-up football team could be overwhelming.
You know, Ted Tollner told us that he would not leave his game plan unless they got down by 14 points or more. Well, field goal would change that. Bono to throw. In the back, touchdown, Girard. And the Rose Bowl erupts. And Gold and blue of UCLA have an 18-3 lead as Bono with his 7th touchdown pass of the year. And John Lee will have to wait another opportunity to kick a field goal.
I'm sure that doesn't bother him at this point.
Now, Tollner's going to have to desert that game plan, right?
Absolutely.
Lee makes it 19-3.
Remember, UCLA got in position here to score this touchdown by running the football. They ran an option play, if you remember. And it's 26 seconds left with 1 timeout. USC was expecting a run, and UCLA comes back with a very nice play call with a play action you fake. You see number 54, Hope, step up. He's the linebacker. Bono is not rushed for really the first time today, and that allowed number 82, Mike Schroeder, a lot of opportunity and a lot of time to find a dead spot back there. With this drive, let's think about UCLA's drive here, Gary. What they did, they ran with some power. You know, we saw Gaston Green on the option play. We saw Steve Bono hit Brian Wiley on a pass. And the culmination, Steve Bono to Mike Girard for 6 points.
His 3rd touchdown catch. And Pat, I was impressed on that drive by how they protected Bono. That offensive line been beleaguered. It's been much maligned, but they were sticking tough in there and hanging in there on that drive.
And you made a good point, too, that Ted Tollner said if his team got down by 14 points, he's going to have to abandon his game plan. But they have not really thrown the ball very well or with very much rhythm here in the first half.
Kicking off is Potter. And it'll be down this time by Elbert Watts. I imagine they told him about his mistake, don't you, the last time?
I think that's a reasonable assumption, yes.
Mike Swanson, our statistician, pointed out, even though this last number of points did not come by way of turnover, it did come because it was only a 20-yard punt by USC that gave UCLA such excellent field position. All right, week number 12 in the NFL. Regional action, Cowboys tied with Washington for the lead against the Bills, and then you'll see St. Louis take on the Giants. Both teams 1 game behind Dallas and Washington. All begins with the NFL today. Tomorrow. First down, Ryan Knight. Ryan Knight weaving his way out to the 40 for a first down. Greg Rutledge and Tommy Tutler make the tackle.
I'm sorry, Gary, USC has 2 timeouts here. They should probably call one here.
And they're going to do exactly that. So they'll have 1 left, 19-3 UCLA. This gives us an opportunity now to show you UCLA and USC.
are the University of Southern California, now in our second century of service. Proud of our academic achievements, proud of our independence and strong private support. Preparing tomorrow's leaders in the sciences, the arts, and in the professions. USC, meeting the challenge of independent higher education for America.
The rapid growth of UCLA into one of America's great universities stands unrivaled anywhere in the country. UCLA means excellence today, thanks to men and women of vision and their enduring commitment to scholarship, research, and community service. UCLA, dedicated to quality public higher education and a better life for everyone. UCLA, an investment in the future.
The Rose Bowl, and right now it's all UCLA, 19-3. And Pat, the question I have is, can USC play catch-up football?
Well, we're going to have to find out in the second half. They are not a good catch-up football team. They don't believe in throwing the football 40 times a game, and they're going to be forced in that position. The most critical thing is to take that opening drive in the second half. Remember, they're going to get the ball and get something on the board to get back in the game emotionally.
12 seconds left until halftime on a first down. Green to Ware, and Ware will make the catch, and they're going to have to get another timeout. That'll be their final timeout, a first down catch at the 44-yard line of UCLA, but they need to get to at least the 40-yard line, maybe the 35, to get within field goal range of Jordan. That was a 16-yard completion.
Well, Jordan's longest field goal this year, Gary, has been of 53 yards. Well, here's a situation, too, where Ted Tollner is telling him that he only has 7 sacks. If he's going to try one more play, make sure, A, the ball does not get caught in bounds because you have no more timeouts remaining, and don't take a sack. Throw the ball out of bounds if you have to.
They need to get probably another 10 yards before Jordan can come in and have any opportunity at all. Let's go back to that touchdown throw from Bono to Sherrard, and that was the time. 26 seconds left until half.
They had one timeout. It was a play-action fake. Remember, UCLA had been running the ball with some effectiveness there, and there was excellent protection for Bono. Anytime you give the quarterback there down by the goal line that much time, the receiver has so much time to be able to find an open spot, a dead area, and that's what Sherrard did.
They had to try a field goal from here. It'd be about 61 yards. 6 seconds, 5 seconds left, 4, and it's incomplete with 2 seconds. Jordan told us he thought he could kick a 60-yard field goal if the conditions were right. 2 seconds.
You ever known a kicker when you've asked him that if they've said they couldn't? No, really.
I bet he's down there asking anyway, knowing him.
Looks like they're not even sending him into the game.
Nope. And so the last ditch effort here in this first half.
Well, Ted Tollner's got his toughest job as he's had as a second-year head coach, getting his team emotionally back to in the football game the second half.
Green on the last play of the half. Rifles the shot, complete to Boyer, and that'll bring our first half to a close. 19-3. And the Trojans, who will be representing the Pac-10 in the Rose Bowl right now, not enjoying that premise very much. It's been all Terry Donahue and UCLA. We'll return after this commercial break and a word from your local station.
This is Mr. Goodwrench, and did you know there are ways you can tell if your GM car's shock absorbers are okay? For one, check your tires. If they show unusual wear, like cupping at one spot, it can mean worn shocks. Make your car hard to handle. So see Mr. Goodwrench. I have the right equipment, training, and genuine GM Blue Line replacement shocks available. They have a lifetime limited warranty.
It's another of Mr. Goodwrench's good ways.
To keep that great GM feeling with genuine GM parts.
Now that we're a family, some things have become a lot more important to us. When we had our home insulated, we were concerned about our heating and cooling bills, but we were more concerned about fire safety. So we selected CertainTeed InsulSafe 2. InsulSafe is non-combustible, thermally efficient fiberglass insulation. Sure, saving energy is important to us, but insulating safely is what InsulSafe is all about.
This is CBS.
We've got a new 85 for you. Plymouth Reliant Super K. The best 6-passenger car value. A new front-wheel drive Chrysler Turbo New Yorker. And new Plymouth Caravelle. Engineered to challenge old Sierra. All backed by our 550 protection plan.
Brogan Chrysler Plymouth, the #1 deal for 25 years. Jackman Road between Lasky and Alexis.
We're open for your lunchtime, serving you all day. You're in and out in minutes, fast service is the way.
At Little Caesars, everything is made fresh to your order, fast. And if you phone ahead, it'll be waiting for you. That's faster than fast. We're proud of our service. We're open before noon and all day to serve you with no delay.
There's a Little Caesars near you.
Save over $75,000 on your next mortgage of $50,000. It's the new payday mortgage from First Federal. Here's an example. On a $50,000 loan at 13.5%, your payments would be this 12 times per year. With a payday mortgage, you make half payments of this. You save money because the more frequent principal payments constantly lowers the mortgage balance and therefore the interest. The loan is paid off about 12 years earlier. So stop in and get all the facts on the new payday mortgage from First Federal Savings of Toledo.
Count on Rebecca Hanshaw for news at 11.
From Southern California, back to New York City, Pat O'Brien along with Steve Davis here in our control room for the College Football Report. Steve Davis, the former wishboner from Oklahoma. And Steve, speaking of Oklahoma, they are trying to knock Nebraska out of the Orange Bowl now. It is 7-7 at the half down there in Lincoln. South Carolina may be knocked out of the Orange Bowl after this score today, 38-21. The Orange Bowl, by the way, has categorically denied having a deal with South Carolina. And who would have imagined this today, Steve?
The game was close at this point. The cameraman loses Rich Klaus this time, but this is the play that shut the door on South Carolina, and they will go ahead and win the ball game 38-21. And I wonder if Joe Morrison's inexperience of winning and all the frustrations, bowls, Clemson coming up, if maybe that didn't cause the defeat.
Major upset today, 38-21. BYU and Utah, 24-14, that's the final score. BYU struggled early in this game.
BYU had 5 turnovers in this football game. Someone's really dancing up a storm. BYU's Adam Haysbert will catch an 11-yard touchdown pass, and BYU ties it up 7-7 at that point. Then Utah comes back. This is what closes the gap. Quarterback Mark Stephen has to scramble. He hits Thurman Beard for the touchdown. And here's Robbie Bosco making his imitation of Steve Davis. Watch this pass. This is the only thing I have in common with Robbie Bosco. End over end, almost. Touchdown. BYU finally puts the pace on them. And
I can guarantee you this, and nobody ever read these kind of stats about Steve Davis. Bosco had a big day, 27 for 44, 367 yards in the air, 3 touchdowns. Iowa State was driving with a minute left. They got inside the 30, but the Cowboys held them back to win 16-10 in the final there. Oklahoma meets Oklahoma State next week. Florida and Kentucky, a big day for Florida. 25-17 was the final score there, and Galen Hall was named head coach for Florida today. And Steve, what kind of a coach is he going to be?
Well, he was my old coach at Oklahoma, and I think the thing about Galen is he'll be a no-nonsense coach. The key is how he will recruit, and I think the thing about him so special is he really doesn't care what we say. He really didn't care about the media. He's a great football coach.
Okay, Florida clinches at least a tie for the first place in the SEC, for their first SEC title. The game you're watching here on CBS, UCLA and USC, it is 19-3 at the half. LSU and Mississippi State, it is now 19-3, that's UCLA and USC. It is now 14-13, under 3 minutes left, and State is driving for a score. Texas and TCU, they're playing in a pouring rainstorm in Fort Worth. It is 10-9. The winner here has the inside track for the Cotton Bowl. They're at the half. SMU and Texas. SMU, by the way, still has an outside shot for the Cotton Bowl. They are leading Texas Tech 31-0 in the 4th quarter. Rice has lost 23 straight conference games. The last team they defeated in the conference was Baylor. They're beating them so far in the 3rd quarter, 33-26. Arkansas, final here, the Razorbacks over Texas A&M, 28-0. They're headed for the Liberty Bowl, Arkansas is. Stanford and California, in this rivalry up in Berkeley, it is 10-6 in the 2nd quarter. Another rivalry, Oregon and Oregon State, 7-3 in the 2nd quarter. UNLV and Utah State in the third quarter now. It is 36-7. UNLV with a win here can clinch the PCAA championship, and with it a trip to the California Bowl. By the way, Randall Cunningham, that's Sam Bam's brother, is running the offense there. Marcus Allen's brother, Damon Allen, runs the offense for Fullerton State. They're leading New Mexico State in the third quarter, 10-0. Kansas and Missouri in the fourth quarter. It is now 35-14. Warren Powers down there in Columbia has got to be hearing footsteps. This is his first losing season down there for Missouri. Kansas State and Colorado. It is now 24-6 in the fourth quarter. And we'll be back with more after this.
When an alkaline battery goes dead, you throw it away and buy a new one. This is a GE rechargeable. When it goes dead, you recharge it. It costs more than batteries you throw away, but lasts up to 4 years. Used 10 hours a week, this toy would use over 300 long-life batteries to just 2 GE rechargeables. So if you're still throwing away batteries, you're throwing away a lot of money.
Dear Dad, I wanted to write you this note because I'm like you. It's hard to say what I feel face to face. Dad, thanks for bringing me on board here at the station. I know being the boss's son, I have to prove myself to Nick and Jill, but remember, I not only inherited the name Murph, but also their spirit. I'll work hard to make you proud, Pop. And Dad, I love you.
Go with the spirit.
P.S. Can I have a raise?
The spirit of 76.
Those nuggets some hamburger places serve are actually processed chicken.
Excuse me, but what was that in there? It's chicken. Chicken. Processed. Processed? That's like when they take a lot of chickens and assemble the respective parts.
What parts?
What parts?
Different parts.
Parts is parts.
Wendy's chicken sandwiches, pure boneless breast of chicken. Moist and perfect and not processed.
As I hear tell, all the parts are crammed into one big part.
Fused.
Yeah, then the one big part is cut up into little pieces parts. And parts is parts.
Pure boneless breast of chicken for Wendy's kind of people.
Brigade, a shirt with a certain style. And a trim kind of fit. Brigade, a most fitting shirt. Makes the most of moments like these. Brigade from Arrow, the shirt America lives in.
We have a breaking story for you. We told you that Mississippi State was driving. They scored on a field goal, a 27-yard field goal by Artie Cosby, and we're going to show you that now, to move ahead in this game, 16-14. Now, there's less than a minute left in this contest. LSU needs a victory to tie Florida for the Southeast Conference title. So we'll keep you up to date on that story if anything happens before we get off the air here. It was a windy day in New England today, so Doug Flutie was forced to go on the ground, but they beat Syracuse 24-16. Now, the story of this game is that after the game, BC said they will accept an at-large bid for the Cotton Bowl when it is officially extended next week. West Virginia and Temple, an exciting finish on this game. Temple had 2 chances to kick a field goal. They missed the first one. A penalty was called. With 8 seconds left, they kicked it 19-17 over the Mountaineers. Yale and Harvard, the game, 30-27. Yale winning this year. Running back Tim McCauley scored a one-yard touchdown to give the Bulldogs the win in this 101st meeting of the game. Penn gets its 3rd straight Ivy title with a win over Cornell today, 24-0. Notre Dame and Penn State, a big day for Jerry Faust and the Fighting Irish and Steve Davis. This was indeed a big win for Jerry, wasn't it?
3 weeks ago, everyone wanted to count Jerry Faust out as he's going down to LSU to play the Tigers down there, but he was able to turn it around. He said this is a new beginning, and they really played well, and Alan Pinkett had an unbelievable day.
A big day for Alan Pinkett, and finally getting a win at home for Jerry. 44-7 was the final in that score. Michigan and Ohio State, many of you saw that game here on CBS. 21-6 was the final there. Keith Byers had an average day, 28 carries for 93 yards, 3 touchdowns. So on January 1st, it is Ohio State versus USC, and you are watching the College Football Report on CBS.
When it comes to getting to the high ground, there's nothing like having a faithful companion. The new Toyota 4x4 SR5 Extra Cab, powering you to the top with a new electronically fuel-injected engine that supplies this truck with more horsepower than any other in its class. The new Toyota 4x4.
Now, this is a friend forever.
Say goodbye to America's favorite can of motor oil. That Quaker State quality America has trusted for over 70 years now comes exclusively in this unique, easy-to-pour plastic bottle.
So long, spouts.
See you, dirty hands.
Goodbye, oily rags.
No more leaky cans.
Get Quaker State's pen-grade protection and no mess, easy to open, pour, and reseal. Today, you need an oil this good in a package this good.
A stereo might not help your child get ahead in school. A bicycle can't help your child get into college. A video recorder might not prepare kids for a career. But a Commodore computer can do all of the above, and it can do it for less money. Only Commodore can give you a computer as powerful as the Commodore 64, for a price as low as the Commodore 64.
The Pac-10 Conference, a conference of champions, unsurpassed in NCAA champions in athletics and distinguished in academics among American universities, spanning the entire West Coast from the state of Washington in the majestic Northwest to the serene desert settings of Arizona in the Southwest. The Pac-10 offers excellence and diversity to all, whether it be the research, instructional, or public service programs offered at the Washington schools or in Oregon's forestry and agriculture curricula, or the exposure students have to nearly 20 Nobel Prize winners on the combined facilities of the University of California at Berkeley or Stanford University in the San Francisco Bay Area, or the professional schools of UCLA and the University of Southern California, training young people in fields of law, medicine, architecture, and science, or one of the finest astronomy departments in the nation at the University of Arizona, or the $30 million engineering center soon to be completed at Arizona State University. It's the Pac-10 Conference which offers distinction, diversity, and leadership in both athletics and academics. The Pac-10, a conference of champions.
Good afternoon and welcome to this Toledo 11 News Break. I'm Rebecca Hanshaw. This is a big football weekend for Buckeye and UT fans. Tonight, the details and highlights of the games that put the teams in the Rose and California Bowls. It was stadium blanket weather in the bleachers today. Temperatures are hovering in the 40s. Expect more of the same tomorrow, perhaps with some rain showers. And the brisk spirit of Christmas was in the air this afternoon as the annual holiday parade kicked off in downtown Toledo. As always, Santa was the star of the show, delighting the hearts of the young. Over 1,500 Zenobia Shriners participated in the event, along with Santa sleepers, marching bands, and antique Jeepsters. The parade traditionally begins all of the festive events that mark the Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's holidays. The event was sponsored by the Zenobia Shriners and the Toledo Office of Promotion. It's Thanksgiving that has the experts watching the pumps, and they say with that holiday coming up, if you're planning on traveling, you should find plenty of gas throughout Ohio. The Ohio Automobile Club reports 54% of service stations surveyed said they'll be open Turkey Day. Not only that, you'll be forking out less for fuel. The Automobile Club says gas in Ohio is at prices below the national average. What if is what they were asking today in Vickery, Ohio. What if a truck full of acid waste tipped over and started leaking? The scenario was created today in order for emergency workers to bone up on their methods. Tonight on our late news, Elizabeth McGuire shows us how they do that and with how much success. The failure rate for marriages these days is about 50%, and one Ohio group says it's always the divorces we hear about. So the group, Worldwide Marriage Encounter, wants to know about the other half. They're scouring Ohio, looking for the couple in the state who's been married the longest. The lesson to be learned, if there is one, is that too many couples, according to the group, give up way too early in the ball game. Well, in our game, we'll be covering the field of news, weather, and sports later tonight. Please join us then.
Pat O'Brien again with Steve Davis, and we promised you we would keep you up to date on this story. Mississippi State has upended LSU 16-14. Now, here's what happened. LSU kicker Ron Lewis missed a 59-yard field goal, and they are celebrating in Starkville, but I'll tell you, the real celebration is going on in Gainesville because Florida now clinches its first SEC title in 52 years. UCLA is hoping to celebrate, too. Let's go back out to the Rose Bowl and Gary Bender.
19-3, UCLA with the lead here in this traditional rivalry. Not only a battle between the teams, but a battle between the bands. And right now, the UCLA band. Little breakdance in there, kind of reminiscent of your athleticism.
Well, I used to be able to do that. Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Okay. Pat, this first half, there's one overriding fact, and that is the turnovers. It's really plagued this USC team.
Well, they have been sloppy in the first half. And the interesting thing over the turnovers has been UCLA's ability to make those turnovers pay off. Put 9 points on the board off of those. We're going to take a look at Ryan Knight, the freshman tailback. This has been indicative of USC in the first half. He never quite secures the handoff from Tim Green. See the ball right there on his hip? It falls down. UCLA recovers the ball. The next thing you know, John Lee's entering the game for another field goal.
The amazing John Lee. He's tied the NCAA record of 28 field goals in the season. This is the one that accomplished that feat.
Well, and UCLA has depended upon him this entire year, and he's come through once again for them.
Well, this USC team, you said it several times, they're flat.
Well, they're still thinking about that Washington win, I believe, and Ted Tollner has to be concerned. At halftime, he's got to get himself concerned about this football game. They're not a great catch-up team, and they've got to get them emotionally ready for the second half. And even though that UCLA has not really dominated the football game, they've been a very opportunistic team. We're going to get a look at a touchdown here. There was another one of those scores that was a result of a turnover. Great protection here for Steve Bono. He gets plenty of time to find Mike Sherrard, number 82, in the back of the end zone. But look at all the time that he has. The ball is there. And, you know, as we talked about emotion so much, Gary, this UCLA team has played with lots of emotion this first half. Conversely, USC has not. You're going to get a chance to see some of that emotion after Sherrard makes this next catch.
Pat, this game reminds me of something that happened to USC earlier this year. They defeated Arizona State and then lost to LSU 23-3. Kind of similar circumstances.
You're right, and USC is not a good enough football team not to be out there playing hard and emotionally, and that's what they're going to have to do in the second half. And additionally, they get the ball the first series in the second half. They have possession. They're going to have to get something on the board, either 3 or 6 points to get back in the ball game.
Well, they have not been a good catch-up football team. We'll find out if they can be. 19-3 our halftime score. We'll return after this commercial break and a word from your local station.
Good.
All these years without an accident. There go my insurance rates.
And not if you were with Liberty Mutual for 5 years.
What?
Yeah, with Liberty Mutual's Safe Driver Insurance Plan, you drive safely for 5 years. You get a second chance.
If I'd only done that, I wouldn't have to pay extra. I'd be in clover.
Would you believe? Smelling like a rose.
For a real value in auto insurance, Liberty Mutual is going to be there for you.
Aha! There's a thief in this attic. This skimpy amount of insulation can rob you blind on your fuel bills.
Fight back with the attic blanket from Owens Corning. It's the thickest, most powerful roll of thermal protection you can have. It can help you save money on your fuel bills.
It is an open and shut case.
Owens Corning. Our building products put your house in a pink.
This is CBS.
They're switching. More and more people are switching.
The switch is on. The switch is on to your Lincoln Mercury dealer.
Olds and Buick owners are switching to the full-size comfort of Grand Marquis. Grand Marquis has features like these and is priced $2,360 less than Olds 98 Regency sedan.
The switch is on at the sign of the cat.
If you run a small business like I do, everything affects the bottom line, and that includes health insurance. Blue Cross showed me how big a difference their PRISM plan makes.
PRISM let me pick the benefits my staff and I need.
The coverage is right, and so is the cost.
PRISM is thorough, and the Blue Cross card makes it easy to use. Quite simply, the PRISM plan works. My small business is very big proof.
For full details on PRISM, call Blue Cross of Northwest Ohio or your independent insurance agent.
Jack Suddenly Rich on Three's Company, Monday at 5:30.
CBS Sports presents college football. Sponsored by your Toyota dealer and the hot new Corolla GTS, the Scorcher with a twin-cam 16-valve engine. The U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be. And by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company. We're going to be there for you.
Second half ready to go. UCLA with a 19-3 lead over USC. The Trojans will receive this kickoff from Ken Potter. And Potter will have that one out of the back. And USC will start from the 30-yard line. First half, we showed you the total yards in the game. Surprisingly, it was not dominated in that area.
The turnovers, of course, we talked about them being the key. And time of possession was pretty equal. And this is what Terry Donahue wanted to have. Remember, he was concerned about USC, that big offensive line, controlling the clock. But the time of possession has been fairly even.
You'd wonder why Potter would kick the ball that deep and have USC start from the 30, because in the first half, the average line of scrimmage they started their drives was a 23.
They've had to go a long way. As a result, they've only put 3 points on the board.
UCLA, on the other hand, their average was their own 43. That's a considerable difference. Here's Ryan Knight starting the second half. Crutcher with that groin injury, not in the lineup. And Tommy Taylor, who had 8 tackles in the first half, has another one.
He's played a sensational first half, really had a sensational year, Tommy Taylor has. But Ryan Knight, you see a little bit of emotion there by USA, and that is precisely what this team needs. Right here in this opening possession, the second half, it will set the tone for the USC team the rest of the game. That offensive line needs to control, needs to dominate, control that man, Tommy Taylor.
The Chattanooga freight train. Second down, a yard, a gain of 9 on that play. Pola, and Kennedy Pola has a first down. And that's the beginning of something. Ron Butler and Tommy Taylor make the stop. You got to look at it this way, Pat. 2 touchdowns and 2 two-point conversions, and you're all even again.
But right now, what USA really needs to be concerned about is the next first down. That's what they need to be thinking about.
From the 41, first down. It'll be Norman split out along with Timmy Ware. Ware at the top of the screen. Sets up, delivers on target. Catch is made by Mark Boyer, and Boyer across the 45 to the 46, a gain of 5. It'll be second down 5. Price on the tackle.
In the first half, we talked about USC being out of sync. There wasn't very good protection, or Tim Green who threw the ball badly. Here, everything is right. The protection is good. He delivers the ball perfectly to Mark Boyer right there in his chest. Very catchable. Results of completion, a 2nd and 5 situation, a situation they didn't see much of in the first half.
USC wanted to win today and be the first Pac-10 team ever to go unbeaten in conference play. Right now, trailing 19-3. Second down. 5. Green. He'll be thrown for a loss at the 45 by Delacono. He had 8 sacks coming into this game.
This is why Tim Green can concern the coaches at USC, and as we look at Neil Delacono, who has had really another tremendous year, but Tim Green can sometimes get a little bit confused up there on the line of scrimmage. You saw once again some little miscommunication between him and Ryan Knight.
Third down 7 from the 45.
USC has averaged over 8 yards to go on third down, which is not their kind of game.
Knight dragged down from behind, short of the first down. Mark Whalen, 95, made the stop. Now, we mentioned Crutcher. He has a groin injury. He may not return. And that's the reason that Ryan Knight was carrying on that third down.
And Fred Crutcher is a guy they really need, because they need those 3 and 4 and 5-yard runs here early in the third quarter.
They call him 4-yard Freddy.
And that's not really a bad statement for him, because that's what he does so well for USC, is pick up first downs for them. He's not going to break many long runs, but he's going to pick up first downs.
Paul Green, who had a 20-yard punt in the first half, this time gets one to the 15. David Clinton was back there, and he has stormed under. That'll be a 36-yard punt. Here is what UCLA has been able to do in their last 4 possessions. Field goal and a field goal.
Didn't take much time either, because remember, generally they were after turnovers. A long 2-minute drive, another field goal and a touchdown.
John Lee with 4. The next one he kicks will be an NCAA record. I get a feeling he may get another crack at one before the day's over. Wiley and Gaston Green in the backfield. And this is Wiley. Wiley Wiley for a couple of yards. Now, you were talking about USC needed to get something the first drive. Well, their defense has got to hold on this first
Well, you're
opportunity.
absolutely right. Here's a look at the defense, but they have to create a turnover. They do the best thing they could do other than the turnover is stop Brian Wiley to just a 1-yard gain. But UCLA has been very good. Their defense has turned the ball over. SC is going to have to find a way to get another ball hitter on the ball, have the ball pop loose, and convert a turnover into a touchdown.
Del Rio's come out of the ball game shaken up. Marcus Cotton replaces him. Gaston Green makes the catch. He's to the 25. Biggers and Haynes are there. He's going to be about a yard short. Pickup of 9 on the play. Third down. Del Rio now comes right back into the game. He took himself out briefly. He was shaken up, but he's back in now.
The last 2 years in this game against USC, UCLA in 3rd and 1 situations have either run a quarterback sneak or run a pitch play.
There he is. Outstanding catcher. He will not play baseball, however, this year for USC. Getting ready for the NFL draft. Bono on a 3rd and less than a yard. And interesting call, wasn't it? On 3rd and less than a yard, you're leading 19-3.
You're absolutely right. It was an interesting call because if they pick up the first down via a run or something like that, boy, they got the momentum back here in the first half. Now they've had 3 plays and a punt, and perhaps it turns it back over to USC. Remember, up to this point, they have been running quarterback sneaks and pitches in 3rd and 1 situations and had been successful against Southern Cal the last 2 years. There's
the average by Bonifay. Now, he's had some narrow escapes. Let's see if they come after him as Hopper 14 will field the punt. They roughed him one time. Very high, not that deep. Hopper makes the fair catch at the 43. Good field position, 32-yard punt. And the Trojans are going to have to start to make their move.
Every once in a while, something unexpected shows up.
Hey, what's that, a Toyota?
The 1985 Toyota Corolla GTS. A Toyota, dependable. A Corolla, affordable. A different kind of Corolla. A sleeper, a car for the street powered by a new twin-cam, electronically fuel-injected.
What's he got in there?
16-valve engine.
What's he got in there?
Known as the TC16.
Yeah, what's he got in there?
In my line of work, your insurance isn't on a piece of paper. It's up here, and it's in your equipment.
For AC Delco, test pilot Chuck Yeager.
With all the technology that's built into today's cars, I just don't trust mine to anything but AC filters. An AC oil filter can help protect your gasoline engine for up to 15,000 miles. An AC air filter, up to 30,000 miles. Never wait for trouble. Protect your car with AC filters.
Call 800 AC Delco for a retailer near you.
Tuesday, it's the ultimate game show.
We go for the money.
But if they take the money...
Then you have to agree never to see each other again.
Will Suzanne Plachette and Gil Gerard go for love or money Tuesday?
This is the best field position USC has had all day long in starting to drive. And now, Pat, that big offensive line of USC has to assert itself. Last week, they just wore down Washington. Haven't had the chance to do that today.
Well, remember, last week's game was a close one, too. We're down by 16 points here, but it's still early enough to keep running the football and trying to have that offensive line dominate. They've yet to do that.
What Donahue did not want is keep his defense on the field too much. Here comes Ryan Knight. He has a little gap. And Ryan Knight, an excellent run, very close to the first down. Lee Knowles, Dennis Price made the stop, and that line was doing the job. Now, Tom Halleck is up and limping, one of the big linemen, the guard, 76.
Every first down at this point right now for USC is very, very important, just to get some momentum, just to get in scoring territory. Ryan Knight has the ability to go to the length of the football field when he catches the ball. That's one ingredient he adds to the USC offense.
Halleck will stay into the game. 2nd and 1. Pitch to Knight again. Knight will have the first down, but he paid for it. Clotheslined at the 45-yard line by Delacono. First down, Trojans. Ryan Knight, best game of the season is 122 yards against California. And they think he's going to be a great back before it's all over. He has 58 yards, as you can see.
And like I said, he has the ability to give them the long play, which is really important when you're down by 16.
On the 45, first down, 9:45 left in the third. Green rolling, he's going to run. he slides for a 4-yard pickup. Ken Norton was there.
Just as in the first half, though, USC has not been successful throwing the ball on first down. That should be a very good throwing down for USC because they run the ball so well. I think what the problem is, they seem to be throwing the ball downfield an awful lot on first down rather than dumping the ball off to a tight end or to a back.
Well, you lose your patience sometimes when you're trailing like this.
It's a very good point.
You want to get it back in a hurry. 2nd down and 6. Looks like he's changing the play. Ryan Knight with a 40, a gain of 1, and that's all. Chris Block was there. They felt that they could run inside the tackles against UCLA, and Block was a key man as to whether or not he can hang in there and be an anchor point. Thus far, they've done the job. They've been doing a very creditable job.
Well, more than creditable, they've been also very emotional that first half as well as the second half, and that inside line has controlled the line of scrimmage.
There's the Goodyear Blimp Columbia. We may have to get in there to get out of here. There's so many people at this ballpark. Giving us those panoramic views. Here's Ryan Knight, and oh, as he's belted by Norton. Remember that name, and there is a penalty flag. Remember Ken Norton. He has just outstanding athletic ability. A freshman. Remember the interception he made against Cal, the fumble recovery?
He's got a heavyweights mentality. I can't believe you, because he's going to put a stick here on Ryan Knight, the freshman who makes a nice catch. But there's 41 Ken Norton to make the play. There was a penalty there.
Pat Flood checking with his fellow workers there to see what it's all about.
Like the center for USC, Tom Cox, may have held on that play.
They're going to refuse it because it's a 4th down. It'll still be 4th down and 5. So Green will come into punt.
He can't punt the ball into the end zone here and give UCLA the ball on the 20-yard line. He's going to get it out in somewhere inside the 10-yard line.
High snap. Green hit it high. He's got the right idea if it just stays in. And a catch is made at the last moment by Gifford Irvine. It'll be a 32-yard punt, a very effective punt. The ball will be at the 8-yard line when UCLA comes back after the timeout.
In 1982, Toyota introduced a standard bed truck for $59.98, and it was a winner. Now, 3 years later, Toyota introduces a new standard bed truck with a more efficient engine, with more horsepower, and a warranty that's twice as long as 1982 for $59.98. Who says you have to pay a high price for progress?
Jerry, Pam's back.
And she's ready to take on the world again, thanks to Liberty Mutual. After her back was seriously injured on the job, a Liberty Mutual rehabilitation nurse worked with Pam's doctor to coordinate her medical care. That also controlled insurance costs, but Pam is the best result. The Liberty Mutual Rehabilitation Nurse Program. One way we're going to be there for you.
Weight training is an important part of conditioning for all pro Mark Gastineau. Find out how Gastineau prepares his body for the game tomorrow on the NFL Today.
The Rose Bowl, Pasadena, a setting for this traditional rivalry between UCLA and USC. And right now, the Bruins upsetting the 7th-ranked Rose Bowl-bound USC Trojans. They start this drive now from their own 8-yard line. 7 minutes, 57 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. I'm Gary Bender along with Pat Hayden. Gets off to Gaston Green, and the freshman's on his way. Tim McDonald caught up with him at the 38-yard line. And Gaston Green has ignited today. That's a 30-yard run.
He is UCLA's fastest back, and you're going to see this offensive line just create a little bit of a crease for him. See the way he cut back? He ran right off the block of a center, Dave Barron, and then he just can outrun some defenders until Tim McDonald, number 6, can pull him down. Another look at Jack Del Rio, USC's outstanding outside linebacker, number 52. He is over Derek Tennell, number 81, and he is blocked so well that Gaston Green has the speed to run right by him.
Primus comes into the backfield to replace Green, and Wiley now carries. There's a penalty flag on this. Illegal procedure will be the call against UCLA.
Let's take another look at Jack Del Rio and Derek Tennell, number 81. An excellent block by Tennell on Jack Del Rio. Just blocked him enough to allow the speed of Gaston Green to get by Del Rio. Big play for UCLA. Offensive line has done a marvelous job here all game long.
Well, think about this. Gaston Green's played well. Ryan Knight's played well. They're just freshmen. It bodes well for both these teams. Green comes back in. Primus checks out. They gave Green a breather. First down now, 15 yards to go. 19-3. The Bruins lead the Trojans. Bono with lots of time. On target. Complete to Mike Young, and Young advances the ball to the 43, a 23-yard completion. McDonald and Haynes make the tackle.
UCLA is mixing it up so well. They're mixing it up with runs and passes and short passes and now a deep pass. You see Steve Bono at first he wanted to throw to his right, but then he came back to his left and found Mike Young, number 18. Again, you have to compliment Terry Donahue, Homer Smith, and the offensive staff for the kind of play selection that we've seen from UCLA here today.
What was the USC defensive coaches said? They said that Homer was the offensive guru.
He is.
Here's Wiley, and the ball is loose, and USC is recovered. That's McDonald.
The first turnover by UCLA today, even though they were still driving, a little draw play to number 22, Brian Wiley, which is, again, an excellent call, the way they've been kind of mixing it up. He secured the ball well there on his right wrist there. The ball pops loose. He's had wrist problems in the past. He had broken that wrist, I believe, last year. The ball's there, and Tim McDonald, number 6, is there to recover UCLA's first turnover.
That's hard to hang on when you have that pad on your arm. You know how you lose the feeling of the football. Back to throw is Green. Striking in a hurry, they hope, and it's behind Timmy Ware. Green disgusted at himself for that pass.
UCLA has done a real nice job of dropping back in coverage. You can see Timmy Ware, number 19, going over the middle. Now, it looks like he's open, but you can see 86, Ron Butler, come into the screen right there and get his hand on the football. Last week against Washington, those wide receivers were wide open over the middle, but the UCLA linebackers have done a nice job of taking that area away.
From the 41, second down 10. Green again. Pressure, completion to Cormier, and instantly Tommy Taylor there, a gain of only 3, and Taylor is playing a game reminiscent of that Arizona State performance. When he made the sack for the safety, he made the touchdown saving tackle for loss at the goal line. He had 8 tackles by half, and he's had 2 already here in the third quarter.
USC very much needs 6 or 7 yards to get a first down here. This is the first opportunity they've had to have a turnover. They've got to cash it in for some points here.
Third down and 7 from the 45. Intercepted. Dennis Price. Price has some open field. He's going to take it. Touchdown. Dennis Price. It's 25-3, and UCLA is on the way to winning their 3rd straight over USC. For Price, his 2nd interception of the year. John Lee, point after. 26-3. And now UCLA has scored 16 points off of turnovers.
And USC is out of a rhythm now where in a situation where they have to throw the ball, and it's a situation they don't find themselves in very often. The ball is just overthrown. He was trying to hit Cormier. Number 6, Dennis Price, is right there to make the interception. But the 4th turnover by USC. And the thing about this situation is that USC is just not a dominating team enough to turn the ball over that many times and expect to be able to win. Another look at Tim Green. And watch the pressure he's going to get. He's going to get a little bit of pressure. The ball is overthrown. Dennis Price, good coverage there. He's laying back in his zone right where he's supposed to be. And that's 6 points for UCLA.
And USC still isn't showing us that they're a good catch-up team. They are even further behind.
The new, more powerful 1985 Toyota Supra and Dan Gurney take on the Big Apple. The Supra's twin-cam electronically fuel-injected 6 roars up 5th Avenue. The 4-wheel disc brakes set up the high-speed turn across town. The independent suspension absorbs the punishment of city streets. How does Dan feel surrounded by all this luxury?
This is fun.
With the George Washington Bridge in sight, Dan and the Supra have brought new meaning to the term rush hour.
This is the right stuff.
Kendall Motor Oil protects engines from friction. To prove how well, we plated ordinary piston rings with pure gold and ran them inside this engine for 5,000 miles. Kendall friction fighters are better than car makers demand. But can Kendall protect even soft gold? Look, no visible wear. That's protection. Friction-fighting Kendall Motor Oil for protection worth its weight in gold.
Friday, a duel between 2 of college football's top passers. Heisman candidate Doug Flutie and Boston College face Bernie Kosar and Miami. Friday on CBS Sports.
Price, 63 yards. Remember earlier this year, Ron Pitts went 47 yards on an interception against Arizona State. Just a freshman. He and Washington both in a safety spot. These two teams return a lot of quality players next season. This kickoff. They'll come out to the 20-yard line. Well, let's look ahead to next week. We have some activity I know you'll want to know about. On Thanksgiving Day, a traditional battle, Green Bay and Detroit from the black and blue division. Boston College, Miami, and that scoreboard will be busy that day. Who gets the ball last, maybe. Louisville, Indiana, Bobby Knight, Denny Crum, 2 teams who are going to be outstanding this year in NCAA basketball. And Notre Dame, big win today over Penn State, 6-4, and we're just pleased to be following the Irish next Saturday in the Coliseum against these Trojans. So Green at the 30, we'll try it again. Here comes Ryan Knight. And the offensive line really controlled the line of scrimmage on that play. They blew him back. He's out to the 37.
The biggest surprise to me today has been that the UCLA defense really has controlled that offensive line in the line of scrimmage. That was the first time I have seen the Southern Cal line come off the line of ball, dominate the line of scrimmage. UCLA has been very, very quick up front, and there's the turnovers. That's been the big story today.
Led to 16 points.
USC did not turn their turnover into anything.
Green on a 2nd and 2 to Ryan Knight, and Knight gained a lot of playing time due to the injury to Crutcher. Has a first down at the 44. Ron Butler, 86, made the stop. 73 yards for the freshman. 5:14 left in the 3rd quarter. Look back in the history of this rivalry, Pat. There have not been very many games won by large margins. Now with a new series from the 44. Misdirection handoff to Knight. Ryan Knight advances to the 49. This is a day for traditional rivalries. Of course, this one right here in the Rose Bowl. How about Yale, Harvard, Michigan, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Nebraska. The game, the big game, the Stanford Band against California. And, of course, Civil War between Oregon, Oregon State, Washington, Washington State. That's a night game. And BYU, the only unbeaten team now in the country. Ryan Knight again, and Ryan Knight has another first down. And he's fitting into the mold of being a workaholic, being the tailback.
It's California, Gary.
That is California. I was just going to say. Guess who's winning this game? You never know by looking at those guys.
They don't look like they care, really. I mean, they're just out having a good time.
First down. Now at the UCLA 43.
USC's offense with 4:18 left to go in the third can't be too methodical. They are controlling the line of scrimmage now, but if they're going to score, they're going to have to score relatively quickly.
There's Ryan Knight. Boy, is he getting some work now. Tommy Taylor, that's his, what? He had 10 solo tackles prior to that one. Oklahoma, an update. They have taken the lead. That game is in Lincoln. Now, if Nebraska lose to Oklahoma, that would make the Big 8 championship still up for grabs when Oklahoma plays Oklahoma State next week.
I believe that one's in, let's see where that's in. Norman, yeah.
The Snake Pit.
Yeah.
Second down and 6. Knight and Cole in the backfield. Ryan Knight again. Ryan Knight change of direction and maybe a yard. That's 6 straight carries now for Ryan Knight. Delacono and Butler make the tackle.
What this UCLA defense has done so well here today is be able to come off those big blocks of the offensive linemen. You see a lot of blue jerseys around the ball. They have not stayed blocked today.
3rd and 4. Butler is coming back from some severe back problems. They moved him to the outside spot. Butler being number 86. Thought it wouldn't put as much wear and tear on his back because he was an inside linebacker last season. Ware and Watts are split out on a 3rd and 4. Intended for Cormier. He got hung up there. 4th down. The Pac-10 champions are a little bit dismayed, stunned at this stage.
So is that man. After every incompletion he is throwing, he's very concerned. He's pounding his fists in the ground and talking to people. He's going to have to settle himself down if USC is going to have any chance here today.
I bet he doesn't come out this week and say they're going to whip Notre Dame, do you?
You're right.
They're going for it on 4th and 4. They have no choice. 2:58 left. Throwing it up for grabs to Ware. That'll be a touchdown if he makes it in. They're going to mark it at the 1. 36 yards.
Timmy Ware, number 19, he is the man in motion here. You're going to see a beautiful throw by Tim Green. See the blitz there on the outside by number 30, Craig Rutledge. That's one-on-one coverage. Welsh against Ware. The ball is beautifully thrown over Ware's outside shoulder. A little saving tackle there by Welsh prevents Ware from getting into the end zone. But for the first time today, USC is really in a situation to make this game interesting.
There is the distance they need. 36 yards to Ware. There's Speed Merchant. On a 1st and goal, Knight is not going anywhere. Looks like he may have lost the ball. They say it's been blown dead, but you can see the struggle going on. UCLA trying to take it away from him. Well, he started airborne, and there wasn't anything there.
You know, we have seen UCLA so many times this year. They've been so good down by the goal line.
See if the ball comes loose.
See, Ryan Knight's going to get the ball, try to get over the top. There's number 42, Tommy Taylor, who's going to meet him right there as well. The ball did come loose. The ball is down. It was a fumble. It looked like Ryan Knight fell on the fumble.
2nd and goal, they lost the yard. 2nd and goal from the 2. Green on a bootleg touchdown. Drive, 10 plays, took 4 minutes, 7 seconds. Steve Jordan to attempt the point after. A big play, that 36-yard completion to Timmy Ware. It's now 26-10.
A very nice call by Tim Tolner here. Remember, USC was having difficulty running up the middle. This is a terrific call because it looks similar. It looks like he's going to go over the top. And Tim Green's a little naked bootleg. We've seen quarterbacks score in this kind of situation many, many times. Doug Flutie does that very, very often. But this drive, let's talk a little bit about the USC drive. The offensive line, for the first time today, began to dominate. Give them a little bit of room, Brian Knight some room. And then we saw the big pass to Timmy Ware. The result, we have an interesting ball game.
Giving that extra effort makes winners be all you can be. Brought to you by the U.S. Army. Arizona State place kicker Luis Zendejas holds a shares in at least a dozen NCAA records.
42-yarder. Zendejas from 45 yards. A 51-yarder. He's got it.
A Spanish major, when he's not in class or playing football, Zendejas gets his kicks by working with kids, visiting hospitals, and volunteering in the community of Tempe. Luis Zendejas strives to be the best he can be.
In today's Army, when artillery goes to the field, so does high technology.
Be all that you can be. Keep on reaching. Keep on growing.
Computers, laser-guided missiles, and teamwork honed to a split-second response. Only the Army gives you this kind of training with just a 2-year enlistment.
You can do it in the Army.
USC now trailing 26-10. Jordan will kick off to Gaston Green and Bob Garibaldi. Still 1 minute, 43 seconds left in the third quarter. They're going to let that one go out of the back, and did it hit in or in the back? We'll wait and see. They may bring it to the 30. They may bring it to the 20. The Big Ten. Let's check the other half of the Rose Bowl picture. Ohio State will be here. Wisconsin now finishes 7-3-1. Iowa plays tonight, and Purdue, very strong year, defeating Indiana. Florida won the SEC as LSU was beaten, and Florida now will wait Tuesday for the meeting to see if they can go to a bowl. The SEC conference will be meeting over that. Georgia Auburn tonight. They did rule it was out of the back of the end zone. They'll start from the 30-yard line. Gaston Green gets maybe a yard. Make it 2. Tim McDonald made the stop, and you can now sense UCLA would like to turn this game around. They've made somewhat of a comeback, still trailing by 16.
And time of possession, USC has begun to come on, and that was the real statistic that Terry Donahue was concerned about, and really the most significant time of possession was the third quarter, where USC had the ball for almost 11 minutes.
Last drive over 4 minutes. Gaston Green up to 35, first down. The speed merchant on the way, and McDonald saved the touchdown. Tim McDonald knocked him out of bounds at the 34.
Boy, you really have to be impressed with Gaston Green. Now watch the way he waits. You see the great tailbacks and the I formation. He's going to wait for his blockers, wait for something to develop. Take a couple of stutter steps here, boom, then he cuts back inside, breaks the tackle of Jerome Tyler, and then he shows some speed. It's only because Tim McDonald, number 6, has an angle on him that he prevents him from going the distance.
He is over 100 yards for the first time in his career. At 36-yard run, put him over the top. That kind of stops your comeback efforts. Give to Primus, who's checked in, and Primus close to the 30-yard line. Gain of 2. Luck and Del Rio combining on the stop. You talked about Green. He gained last year 1,200 yards and scored 14 touchdowns for Gardena High School in Los Angeles.
The USC defense has really been their main forte all year. They have won most of their football games for them, and they're going to have to do it again today. What they have to do right now is really bow their necks and prevent UCLA from getting anything on the board right now. That's a tall order with John Lee on the bench.
Green comes back in, replacing Primus. Here he goes, and maybe Neil Hope, Dwayne Pickett combined to make the stop. And what I liked about Ted Toner this week is that he was so honest about the challenge that faced his team coming back after that emotional win over Washington. He tried to be open about it. He told the players the problems they faced. Were they going to be settling and be satisfied with what they had, or are they going to go for more? Well, he had reason for concern.
Played very flat today.
Up the middle comes Green. Del Rio making the tackle as we have 10 seconds left in the third quarter.
Enter John Lee.
You know they want to give him a shot at that NCAA record. It's going to happen. It's going to have to happen in the fourth quarter. 26-10, UCLA will return after this commercial break. And a word from your local station.
Many fighters and try many beers. One beer isn't a class by itself. Light beer from Miller. Light tastes great and it's less filling. It weighs in at a third less calories than the regular beer. Yes, I discovered your greatest beer, but I never met your greatest fighter. Hey, who's this Billy Martin anyway?
Billy Martin? He's warm, he's gentle, good looking too.
I got to meet this guy.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
This is CBS.
The microwaves are coming by the truckload to Highland's incredible 3-day show and sale. The best names and latest technology in microwaves and accessories, plus cooking demonstrations in every Highland store. Microwave prices as low as $125 with free Thanksgiving turkey. The microwaves, this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at every Highland store. They'll change the way you cook forever.
How much longer is he going to be here?
I never have time for myself because of you.
I'm tired of sharing my room. Can't you stay somewhere else?
Abuse. The hurt doesn't always show on the outside. Family abuse hurts everyone. Call the Family and Child Abuse Prevention Center at 244-3053. Help break the cycle of abuse.
Check out the endless summer specials during the Pabst Endless Summer of Savings.
For the real taste of beer, Pabst is the best.
Now, what'll you have?
Today's game is sponsored by the 1985 Jetta, the new affordable German road car from Volkswagen.
26-10, the Goodyear blimp may be a piece of history, part of it now, because John Lee will attempt to set a new NCAA field goal record for the season. He's kicked 28. He's tied the record by Paul Woodside and Luis Zendejas. And here he goes. This will be an attempt to 44 yards. He is 4 of 4 today. It's no good.
I thought John Lee was roughed. There.
Well, we're going to see it. Let's pick it up. There we have a man shaken up for the Trojans. McDonald.
USC really had to block this field goal at this point or make a miss. There's number 80, Dwayne Bickett, right up the middle, who's trying to go and block it, but he ran right into John Lee, and there was an official right there. I don't understand why they didn't call the penalty. And take a look at number 6, Tim McDonald. He is also going to hit John Lee from the outside. Again, they're trying to do everything they can to block the field goal. He hits his foot, and Dwayne Bickett ran right into John Lee. It should have been a roughing the kicker penalty.
McDonald is still being helped out there. He's in the sitting position, the 35. But, Pat, to just kind of pick up on your point, the 16-point spread is still catchable as far as USC is concerned. They could score twice, then go for 2 two-pointers. But that field goal would have put that out of reach. Let's go now to New York and Pat O'Brien.
All right, Gary, thank you. Another bowl has been decided. Earlier today, Toledo beat Central Michigan 14-7. UNLV has just beaten Utah State 36-20. So Toledo and UNLV will meet in the California Bowl on December 15th. Let's go back out to the Rose Bowl.
Terry Donahue is heated, and I think for good reason. He felt that John Lee was roughed as well.
Well, there's no question about it. John Lee was roughed. There was an official right there.
McDonald shaken up on the play, but it's fortunate that John Lee wasn't. Anyway, the record still is at 28. And still 14:57 left in this game. USC is still alive. Staggered, but still alive. Green, Cormier wide open. Cormier out to the 45-yard line of UCLA. 27-yard pickup. Greg Rutledge on the stop.
Perhaps that penalty or that missed penalty is going to give USC an opportunity to really get back in the football game. Pretty good protection for Tim Green. He gets the ball way downfield to Joe Cormier, number 85, who had slipped out from his tight end position. Nobody was really covering him. Another big play for the USC passing game.
Cormier is such a big target. He just looms so big over there. He has 4 catches for 60 yards. Ryan Knight gets a yard, and that's all. 2nd and 9, just inside the 45-yard line. Here's Rogers on that tackle.
If USC is going to run the football in this kind of situation, they're going to have to pick up 4, 5, and 6 yards at a try.
The attendance today, 90,096. 2nd down, almost 10 yards. Green, Boyer dropped it. There may have been a hand on the ball. Looked like Ron Butler was the man who had a hand on the ball, or maybe Lee Knowles. Let's make it Lee Knowles.
Ted Toner said he wanted to throw maybe 28 times, not much more than that, but the nature of this game has forced USC to put the ball in the air a little bit more than they wanted. Again, Tim Green had a little bit more patience there. He had Ryan Knight underneath. Tim is throwing the ball downfield an awful lot. He has to be a little bit more patient on 2nd down.
You just lock into a receiver sometime and not see that.
That's what's happening.
3rd down. And still almost 10. And the pressure, Green has it intercepted. Herb Welch. And Welch returns it to the 50-yard line. Cormier was the intended receiver. 3rd interception against Tim Green.
Tim Green is trying so hard to do something for his team, and here he's just trying to avoid a sack. Tremendous pressure by UCLA. Here's a young kid who's finally getting an opportunity to play. He's trying his best. He throws the ball up trying to avoid a sack because he's been coached like that for all year long, but he threw it right into coverage. Number 2, Herb Welch, is there to make the interception, and USC has turned the ball over again.
5 for the game, 3 by interception. Gaston Green, and Green will be stopped for little or no gain. Dwayne Pickett made the tackle. I think that's a good point, Pat. Sometimes you just try to do too much. You got to play within your ability and play within the system.
Well, you're right, and the coaches have told Tim Green to settle down, Tim. Don't take sacks, don't do this, don't do that. And sometimes it can really affect your play. He was trying to do the right thing, but it was a poor judgment on his part.
Loss of yards. 2nd and 11. Columbia, the Goodyear Blimp. We're fighting the pictures from high above this crowd of over 90,000 with 13 and a half minutes left in the game. Melfar goes in motion. Green is really getting to the line of scrimmage in a hurry. A gain of 3. Dave Perling, 95 now in there, made the tackle for the Trojans.
The defense of UCLA, there's Tom Hayes. They're one of their defensive coordinators. Boy, they've been spectacular. They've always been at the right place at the right time, that secondary particularly.
Welch playing his final game in the Rose Bowl, a senior. He was a junior college transfer. And Terry Donahue is close to his 70th win at UCLA. That's 2 behind the all-time school record by Bill Spalding, who's 172. 3rd down, almost 9 yards to go. Green again. He stopped short of the 45. Colorado, 92, making the tackle.
Now here's the tough decision for Ted Tollner. Do you try to block a punt here, or do you risk the blocking, running into the punter penalty like they had earlier, or do you try to return with Darrell Hopper, number 14, who's been a pretty good punt returner this year?
Ted Tollner is doing a little coaching because he's got to come back next week against another fine team and hope that Tim Green can play a little more effectively against the Fighting Irish.
Well, he's trying to settle Tim Green down right there.
Bonifay will punt to Hopper. Hopper at the 10. And Hopper across the 13-yard line. Scott Franklin, who snapped the ball, was down there. 35-yard punt with 11:54 left.
Introducing the first affordable German road car, the new Volkswagen Jetta. No one can demonstrate its exhilarating performance No one can fully show you its exceptional handling ability. No one can accurately describe its roominess. The new Jetta. To really appreciate it, you have to experience it yourself. Jetta. It's not a car, it's a Volkswagen.
In the 1950s, Blatz was voted Milwaukee's finest beer for 10 straight years. The reason? Blatz quality.
In comparison to Miller, it's really a lot smoother.
And since the beginning of the Blatz TV taste tests in 1975, sales have increased each year because Blatz is still brewed for quality.
When I have the two together, the Blatz definitely tastes better.
I pick Blatz over my beer, like beer.
Taste Blatz yourself. Compare the quality, compare the price.
Pleased to meet you, Blatz.
For the New York Giants quarterback, Phil Simms, to score on the Cardinals, he must exploit their man-to-man defense. See the Giants against the Cardinals among the regional games tomorrow on CBS Sports.
I'm sure John Lee is very aware of that, and nervously standing on the sideline a while ago, I'm sure he wants to have the chance to kick that NCAA record 29th field goal in the season. Right now, his team defensively on the field as UCLA will have the ball. Check that. USC will have the ball at the 13-yard line. Still a 16-point difference.
And they need to score on every possession from this point on.
Ryan Knight still the tailback, Fuller the fullback. Green, and it's too tall for Norman. Check that. Timmy Ware at the 30-yard line. You know, you said something that was interesting. It didn't come out in that play. When he throws a bad ball, he throws it low.
Well, he generally does, although this one was high. But take a look at number 19, Timmy Ware. Remember, SC is throwing the ball downfield an awful lot. I really believe that they throw the ball underneath the coverage of UCLA. As we take a look at the line play of USC, here's this big offensive line, the biggest perhaps in the country. See their arms out. Now, you're allowed to do that in college football and pass protection. Get those arms out. Give Timmy Green an opportunity to throw the football. That's good protection for Tim Green, but they're trying to throw the ball downfield too much.
We have a little problem on the field. A couple of fans have come running out on the field, and now they're getting them off the field. Tell you, neither one of those guys can play. Some bad moves out there. Second down 10, but that's what you want if you're going to throw a bad ball, is keep it low, and you notice that on so many films this year. Here comes Ryan Knight. Knight out across the 15 to the 16-yard line. Still going to be 6 yards to go for the first down. In the top 10, Nebraska having a battle in the fourth quarter. Two excellent defensive teams, so that doesn't surprise you, a low score. BYU, only unbeaten team now because South Carolina was beaten. Florida, first SEC title. Galen Hall has just done an unbelievable job for the Gators. 3rd and 6. I don't know where that was headed. Norman, I guess. And a penalty flag has been thrown inside the 10. Norman did not even look up. The ball sailed by him before he turned into position himself for the catch. It's going to be holding. Continuing on as far as the top 10 is concerned. Ohio State Buckeyes got new life after Iowa was beaten, and now they're in the Rose Bowl.
People out here are going to love to see Keith Byers.
Boy, that's
Look
surprising.
That. Wow. Texas, they have a very good defense as well. In Boston College, everybody knows about Doug Flutie. Going to get a chance to see him next week against Bernie Kosar.
Syracuse, the only team that's beaten Nebraska prior to today. This is Green, Paul Green, who will punt the ball with 11:07 left in the game. Not a very good punt. On the fly comes Gifford Irvin. And he goes out of bounds after a 7-yard return, a 30-yard punt. UCLA 26-10.
I thought you had practice today.
No, the field was too wet. Dad, do you have a minute?
What's up?
Dad, I've decided.
He's a happy boy. What?
I've decided to join the Army.
Whoa!
I think it's right for me.
What about college?
I'm still going to go to college after the Army.
I thought you wanted to be an electrical engineer.
I'll be learning about electronics, and that'll help me with my engineering.
That's a big step, Tom.
Dad, listen. I can qualify for the Army College Fund, so the government will help me pay for my tuition when I get out. That way I can help you out for a change.
If you qualify, the Army College Fund will help you accumulate as much as $20,100 for tuition.
So you're going to be a soldier?
Yeah. Be all that you can be. And an engineer. You can do it.
Be a good one.
In the Army.
Call for your copy of this free booklet.
UCLA trying to win their 8th game of the year with a 26-10 lead. Coming into this game, Pat, we found one of the big differences of the two teams was USC's offensive line as opposed to UCLA's, but UCLA's has done the job today.
Well, they played remarkably well, that offensive line. UCLA has 170 yards rushing, and it's largely because that offensive line has given Gaston Green an opportunity to find some daylight.
That's 118 yards. Next Friday, we'll talk about offense.
Yeah.
BC, Miami, you think maybe they'll throw the ball downfield?
Oh, there's a pretty good chance.
And then on Saturday, the Irish coming on now, playing well against these same Trojans. Second down, 8 yards to go. Bono to Green. Green stopped short of the 35. Pickett made the stop. One thing, in all fairness to UCLA, Pat, is the injury problem. They've had all kinds of injuries, especially in that offensive line.
Yeah, but the offensive line is finally healthy and playing so well. We saw the offensive line surge of USC a little earlier. Watch this offensive line of UCLA. Number 63 there with Hartmeyer, who comes down and makes a nice block. Barron, number 71, the center. You see how they're getting a lot of people out in front of the ball carrier, even though there wasn't a big game. There's a lot of blue jerseys around the ball.
On a 3rd and 6, Gaston Green has the corner. Stopped short of the first down. Dwayne Jackson makes the tackle. You can see the speed of Green on that particular play.
Terry Donohue's in a situation here with this kind of lead that he can actually go for it because it would be a very long field goal by John Lee, although he is sending John Lee in now. So
he wants Lee to get the record.
I don't think he's too concerned about that right now.
I think that does come into play somewhere. You've got to be aware of it.
It does sometimes. I thought maybe you thought it would get blocked, so we'd go for it on 4th down.
This will be a 49-yard attempt. Lee's longest this year has been 51. And that's the new NCAA record.
USC's only hope here was to be able to block this field goal. Watch the pressure, number 6, and the number 80 is Bickett. 6 is McDonald. Bickett gives it everything he has. He can't get there. John Lee knows he has just set an NCAA record and put UCLA another step to a win over UCLA.
He's missed only 1. He's hit 5.
Mrs. Smith wanted a small new car that's built to last. Mr. Smith wanted a big new car with room for 5 and lots of suitcases and German engineering. But the Smiths had less than $7,000. So, how did they get all they wanted? They bought a new Volkswagen Golf. Buying a Volkswagen has always been smart, but buying a new Golf is simply brilliant. Golf. It's not a car, it's a Volkswagen.
Some people think the IBM PC Junior runs only about this much software. The truth is, PC Junior runs over 1,000 of the best, most up-to-date programs, including powerful new cartridge programs like Lotus 123. And with PC Junior's new memory expansion attachment, it can run well over 1,000 more programs. PC Junior from IBM, the computer that's growing by leaps and bounds.
Gary Bender, Pat Hayden, 29-10, the time 9:08 left. Even though he set the record, Pat, we should mention that Mike Prindle of Western Michigan has a game tonight. And he started the day tied with John Lee with 24 field goals, which means he'll have to kick at least 5 tonight.
Prindle kicked 7 field goals in a game a little earlier in this year. He set an NCAA record as well.
Broke the old record set last year. The Bowl's coming up in December. And El Paso will be the site of the Sun Bowl, and December 22nd, 3 o'clock Eastern. Mark that down. And then the Peach Bowl on New Year's Eve. And then on New Year's Day, the Cotton Bowl, and Texas made a big stride forward for their win today over TCU. And, well, they still haven't won it. It's 23-16. SMU, Texas, that should be 30-16, isn't that right?
You're right.
Unless you can lose points in a game. I'm not aware of that. That was Norman, the intended receiver. A penalty flag, 2 of them, in fact, and Green is having a little altercation back there.
Green is screaming at someone. It was roughing the passer.
Boy, he is emotional. Batchkoff, 92, was the guy that was tangled up with him.
You can still see Timmy Green pointing at some of the UCLA defenders.
Roughing the passer.
You know, one thing about quarterbacks, as we said earlier, different temperaments get different jobs done. I am a little concerned about Tim Green's temperament. He really is high-strung. Ted Tollner said that a couple of times.
Let's pick up this. We have a couple of penalties here. Holding against USC. Roughing the passer against UCLA.
We're offsetting. We'll do it again. It's offsetting.
Pat, I think it's a good point. I know last week Washington tried to taunt him a few times.
Right. They're not going to change Tim Green's personality, but Ted Tollner's just going to have to pull the reins in a little bit on him and just try to keep settling him down.
Complete to Cormier. Tommy Taylor drops him. 3-yard pickup, and that's all.
You know, here I am sitting up here in the booth, and it's easy for me to call plays. I've been calling for USC to dump the ball underneath the coverage all afternoon. Here's what happened. But this UCLA defense is rallying to the football. Tim Green dumps the ball off to Cormier. But the UCLA defense has got very good quickness. They put 3 or 4 helmets around the ball. It's been an emotional day for the Bruins all day long. They sense the win at their hands now.
Going to try to make their season with this win today. Here's Ryan Knight, a little hurdling move. Out to the 27-yard line. Lee Knowles makes a stop for UCLA.
At the top of the show, Gary, we said Terry Donahue felt this would be one of his top 5 wins at UCLA. Named off his first win, I guess, over USC was one.
And his first win ever when he opened up against Arizona State, and then the 2 Rose Bowl wins.
Games. You're right.
And for 3 years in a row, now if they do this, and looks like they're on their way, that'd be the first time since the mid-50s that UCLA has won 3 in a row over USC. That run, by the way, put Knight at 100 yards for the day. And here he goes again. No gain. Rutledge the first.
You don't find too many better short yardage defensive teams than UCLA. We've seen them so many times this year in short yardage situations rise to the occasion.
Washington leading them off, and the crowd appreciating the defense. We have a new punter, Troy Richardson, who was a punter at the beginning of last week and then lost the job to Paul Green, but there he is, 99 into punt.
I'm a little surprised that Ted Tollner is punting the football here. I know it's a risk on 4th and 2 in this part of the field to go for it, but there's not much time left.
Boy, he almost had that one blocked, didn't he? Just got it off. Bouncing inside, and he gets a very good roll reminiscent of last week. Remember those rolls?
He's noted for his roll.
He knows how to talk to the football. 44-yard punt and 18-yard roll.
Every time you hear your furnace start up, it's costing you money. Want to save money for a change? Then call your insulation contractor and insulate safely with CertainTeed InsulSafe. It's non-combustible, pure white fiberglass that may help lower your fuel bills all year long. So stop listening to your money and start saving it. Ask your insulation contractor for CertainTeed InsulSafe.
Don't believe everything you hear about the revolutionary new Volkswagen Jetta. The rumors about its roominess.
Want a lift?
The exaggerations about its German road car handling. And its trunk space. The one about the Volkswagen Jetta costing $79.94, it's $79.95. We hope this brings all those wild exaggerations to an end. Jetta, it's not a car, it's a Volkswagen.
College basketball returns to CBS Sports with a matchup of the traditional powers. The Louisville Cardinals take on Bobby Knight's Indiana Hoosiers. Next Saturday on CBS Sports.
Hi, Mom.
Herb Welch, who had an interception, and the Bruins are a happy football team. Believed headed to the Aloha Bowl, depending on what happens to Washington State. Gaston Green across the 30. We have a quiz for our viewing audience today, and it's Yogi's quiz on CBS. What are pancakes, decleters, and jackhammers? Pat, do you want to complete this quiz?
Yeah. Pancakes were the blocks they used to at Pittsburgh, right, for Bill Frelick. Decleters is the term they use at Wisconsin for their great line blocks, and jackhammers, I'll let you handle that one.
Tackles for loss by, in particular, Jack Del Rio of USC.
Now the next quiz, who's Yogi?
They need a jackhammer right now, but they didn't get one. To the 35. We have an important update out of New York. Nope, it's not going to New York. We're going to have it to us. It's from us. There's the update. Oklahoma now. Nebraska was trying to win their 4th straight Big 8 championship. They're playing in Lincoln, which is almost impossible to win. We did that game there 2 years ago, and of course last year in Norman. That really surprises me. 3rd and 3 now.
We saw that Nebraska earlier in the year. Boy, they looked awesome on offense.
We had our own update without Pat O'Brien. 5:40 left in this game, as on a 3rd down and 3, UCLA's not going to get the first down. That was Green again carrying.
Okay, here's where USC needs to either block a punt or get a good return on. Daryl Hopper, number 14, the return man for USC, had nearly 50 yards in returns last week against Washington. So either you go after it, block a punt, put yourself in position to score a touchdown, or you decide to return and give Daryl Hopper, number 14, an opportunity to find a crease up the middle.
Everybody up there, 10 people. Only guy back is Hopper. 5 minutes left in the game. Oh, he really got into this one. Hopper at the 10. And that was superb effort from start to finish by UCLA. 56-yard punt with 4:48 left in the game.
I built my first house when I was 10. It was just a tree house, but it's still up there, and I'm still building the last. My partner and I, we have a waiting list longer than this beam because we don't cut corners. We charge a fair price. Pretty much the same reasons we drink Meisterbräu. Sure, we could pay more for beer, but this has a great full-bodied taste without a big price. Come on, guys. We've earned ourselves a cold one today. How's it going?
Meisterbräu, big taste, without the big price.
It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
The TRS-80 Color Computer 2 is a great family gift. On sale only $99.95 with these instant loading program packs. It's a game arcade, a home manager, an educational center, and you can learn to program. It's expandable with a typewriter quality keyboard.
Now this is a family gift I can really afford.
The sale price TRS-80 Color Computer 2, $99.95, only at Radio Shack.
For the New York Giants quarterback, Bill Sims, to score on the Cardinals, he must exploit their man-to-man defense. See the Giants against the Cardinals among the regional games tomorrow on CBS Sports.
The two roommates, Steve Bono and Mike Young, and fought it and put on the screen in front of them an upset. Number 1 ranked Nebraska beaten by Oklahoma, the 2nd week in a row, the top-ranked team in the country defeated. As you know, last week on CBS, Washington was beaten by this USC team. Now, Pat, who's going to be number 1 in the country?
I guess BYU has to be, right? South Carolina lost as well. People object to BYU's record, but I'll tell you what, I'd like to see BYU play anybody in the country. I think they can play with anybody with their passing scheme.
Tim Green throws behind and almost had another pass intercepted by Dennis Price, who had a 63-yarder. Okay, now another issue at stake is the Big 8 title. Oklahoma now has to turn right around and play Oklahoma State. If Oklahoma State would win that, they would be tied for the Big 8 championship. It just goes on and on.
That will be a very interesting contest. Again, 2 good defenses next week. Oklahoma State has an outstanding defense as well.
Second down 10, 4:43 left. I don't think anybody wants that national title. Green, short again.
Been surprised Ted Tolner has not made an earlier change at quarterback with Tim Green. Tim Green has just not played well today. That's the plain fact of the matter. He's played well, very well up to this point this year. He's been 6-0, but really he should perhaps give Kevin McLean, his backup quarterback, number 18, an opportunity. Tim has just not had it today.
Texas has even increased their lead, 37-16, and Longhorns could be at the 49th Cotton Bowl Classic the way things look right now. They still have some to get through, but what a big win that would be. Green back on 3rd and 10, and he gets a first down throw to Hank Norman, and Norman goes out of bounds at the 35. 23-yard pickup. And now we have some problems on the far sideline where Norman went out of bounds.
You know, there's some very heated things have been said between these teams, but again, generally these kids have grown up together. Today they're very, very heated. Tomorrow they'll continue to be very good friends. And here's a look at the last play. The UCLA defense, again, they have a big lead. They're going to play it very, very soft. They're not going to get beat deep. Top of the screen is number 83, Hank Norman. You see the defensive back there is going to slip down and fall, which allowed Norman to catch the ball and then get out of bounds. And then the activity started there over on the sideline. I tell you, if you're a player of this type of game, you want to stay away from the benches, the opposing bench. That's I guarantee you.
I thought one of the USC coaches said something interesting. He says, we recruit them all. We meet their moms and their dads. And we really know pretty much who the tough guys are, what kind of a athlete they are, as well as their temperament. No secrets between these two teams. Kind of a penalty now against USC, personal foul.
A big day for Terry Donahue. A sad day for the Trojans, and particularly that man, Neil Hope, their emotional leader on defense, their leading tackler.
Well, they'll have another crack at it, though, January 1.
But a lesson has been learned here by USC and Ted Tolner. They have to be emotionally ready to play every week. And Notre Dame next week, I guarantee you, they better be emotionally ready for Notre Dame.
Notre Dame coming off that big win over Penn State. They've started to put it together a little bit. That ball is, I guess, intended for Cormier, and I keep saying that. There's a lot of times it's hard to figure out who he is throwing to. It's the most points that a UCLA team has scored against USC since 1970, when they scored 45 in that game.
Well, Terry Donahue, I'll tell you, this is a big win for him, because remember, there were such high expectations early in the year for his team. Then he struggled. He lost a couple of games that perhaps he shouldn't have. People were criticizing him, came under a lot more pressure, but he's had a very, very successful year.
He's lost 2 games in the conference, and Pat, both of them were by 2 points. Oregon and Stanford. 2 games you would have figured they might have won. Catch now by Randy Tanner. Tanner out to the 40, 19-yard pickup. It's still short of the first down by 5 yards.
A nice throw here by Tim Green, but perhaps, again, a little bit too late. There's a lot of holes and a lot of seams in this UCLA secondary now because they are playing so soft. Good protection there. You saw Tom Halleck, number 76, the offensive guard, give him great protection. And there's Randy Tanner, the talented freshman of USC, making the catch. But it's still, what, 3rd and 7?
The reason Tanner's in there is that Timmy Ware was ejected from the game on that little melee that occurred on the far sideline. Intended for Cormier. There is Timmy Ware. But the senior has a thought in the back of his mind. I got another chance at playing here in the Rose Bowl. And that will be January 1st against Ohio State.
I was saying a little bit earlier, I think USC perhaps will have learned their lesson today, that they have to be emotionally ready. They can't go through the motions. And once you come off a big win, you have to get rid of that win. You congratulate yourself, you celebrate for 1 or 2 days, then you get down to the next game. That's the thing about football. There's always a challenge the next Saturday.
4th down, 4th and 6, and flags everywhere. Looked like Tom Halleck might have moved, number 76. There he is. Comes up with the ball, but there's also a flag back in the secondary. Going to be, Pat Flood says, illegal procedure against USC. Pat, you went through these strings before where you had to play a lot of emotional games to finish. You always had the Notre Dame finale. You always had the UCLA game before it.
We actually fed on the emotion from one game to the other. We were lucky enough to have a lot of big wins, and none of our UCLA games that I played in were ever this lopsided. There were always close type of games where you really weren't out of the game in the first half.
So the penalty now, 4th down and 11. 3:44 left. And that was snapped back to Zepp Lee. I don't know if that was intentional or accidental. And anyway, UCLA has the football on downs. Was that a play or was that a play?
It looked like it was intentional. It did not work well, believe me, though. But it was supposed to be snapped back to Zepp Lee. The defense of UCLA all day and most of this season has really done the job again. And Timmy Green, a man who's going to have to bounce back. He's going to have to get his house in order, get himself ready to play another emotional game next week against Notre Dame.
And he might be a little less enthusiastic about how he's going to whip somebody. Just think about a week ago in the Coliseum, the other guys, the Trojans, were celebrating about this time. Now it's their cross-city rivals.
Well, college football can be a very humbling game, believe me.
Others Pickett, look at this.
As I said, things that make the difference in college football now are unity, character.
And let's go crazy when the last.
That's Bob Field, isn't it?
Tom Hayes.
Tom Hayes, okay. One of the defensive coordinators. And as you said, the defense can pat themselves in the back. There's a penalty flag on the last play. Man from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Beaten USC 3 years in a row now.
The situation is they feel that UCLA will go to the Aloha Bowl. The only thing that might change that, Pat, is if Washington State would be Washington later today. And then there's talk of another bowl, the Fiesta Bowl. Penalty was clipping against UCLA.
Well, they will own the city again for one more year.
Yep, 3 years in a row. First down now from the 45 with 3:15 left in the game. UCLA leads it 29-10. Bono quarterback draw. And Bono will make it to the 41. Let's go back and reconstruct this game. It all started when John Lee hit the first of 5 field goals from 46 yards out. Then he came back from 29 yards away to make it 6-0. And then Jordan got USC on the board with a 45-yard field goal. And here's Mr. Lee again from 43 yards out, 9-3, and 37-yarder, making it 12-3. And then Bono, just before the end of the first half, made it 19-3. And we'll continue that in just a moment. Second down here in 22. Gaston Green to the 40. Bono makes the tackle, and after it was 19-3, we started into the second half, the third quarter, and Price picked off one and went 63 yards to make it 26-3. And then Green scored on a bootleg from 2 yards out with 1:43 left in the third. Lee then set the NCAA record for field goals in a season, his 5th of the day, his 29th of the year. Third down 20. 2 minutes left. Ryan Wiley hammers it to the 35. Again, if you've joined us late, the critical games pin the Ivy League champion. Boston College moving closer to the major bowl bid they want. Maryland, another big offensive day over Clemson. Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, and Notre Dame, who will be in Los Angeles a week from today, winning big. Tonight, Auburn, Georgia. And Oklahoma upsetting top-ranked Nebraska. Texas on their way. A big step forward to the Cotton Bowl. BYU, the only unbeaten team, and as Pat Hayden put it, who else could be number one? And then Washington State. And I'll tell you, Washington State has beaten Washington 2 years in a row, and I don't think that Don James is looking forward to playing that game again. They've got so much offense.
Yeah, Jim Walden is an excellent coach, and they do have an awful lot of offense.
Come on off, Boss. What I want. Good job, offense. Good job.
He took a delay of game.
Delay of game, and that ran the clock down to 1:17. Bonifay will punt the ball. Tommy Haynes back deep. The Trojans are poised and ready. And that's going to make it in for the touchback. We'll be back with a final minute 9, but right now we're going to have to check out a penalty flag at the 40-yard line. Well, the Chevrolet most valuable players of the game. And I think you're not going to be surprised by the fact we picked John Lee of UCLA, 5 field goals, setting an NCAA record. And Ryan Knight, the freshman, with his second 100-yard day of the season. He had 122 yards against Cal, and a check in the amount of $1,000 will be donated by Chevrolet to each college's general scholarship fund to further assist qualified students in all chosen academic fields. That's Rutgers.
Well, they're going to have that determined look in their eye next week. They really have to get back to it, be more physical.
You like to read those eyes. You picked up a lot. You saw a lot of defensive linemen's eyes when you took that snap.
Way too many. They tell a large story. Take a look at the Big Ten scores. Talked about Ohio State. They will be back here January 1st. The people out here are going to get a chance to see Keith Byers. Wisconsin. Dave McClain's done a nice job at Wisconsin.
7-3-1 for the year.
That's right. And Iowa tonight. The Southwest Conference today. Texas again leading TCU. That will determine the Cotton Bowl nominee. SMU with a shutout for Texas Tech. And in the Southeast Conference today, Florida, we said, number 5, Galen Hall was named the head coach there. Big win over Kentucky. LSU, a surprise loser to Mississippi State. Georgia and Auburn a little later on tonight. And Alabama will not be in a bowl, I think, for the first time in 25 years. And in the Big 8, Gary?
Okay, Oklahoma in Lincoln defeating Nebraska. Oklahoma State defeating Iowa State. Kansas defeating Missouri 35-21. Kansas State over Colorado. Kansas was, of course, the team that upset Oklahoma earlier this year.
I'm up here in the booth with a lot of Kansas graduates who are really happy about this thing.
It was Kansas that upset USC last year.
You mentioned that, didn't you? You had to.
Kevin McLean has come in at quarterback, so the man you've been calling for is here. And that pass will not make connections to Randy Tanner. Minute 3 left. McLean, they're very high on, Pat. They feel that he could be the quarterback. He'll be battling for that job with a freshman, the name of Rodney Peete, who was actually out of the Kansas City area.
That's right. And remember, Sean Salisbury will be back next year
Well,
as
that's right. Now, Sean's got to get that knee back, though.
That's
he had a very severe knee injury.
But a lot of people are high on this Kevin McLean, this young man. You know, he played against LSU, did not play well, but they still think he has a bright, bright future ahead of him.
Rodney Pete's dad, by the way, is the running back coach for the Kansas City Chiefs. McLean out to Zeph Lee. Zeph Lee had a big game this year against Utah State. He had a 94-yard touchdown run.
Well, this is a great conclusion of the year for Terry Donahue. They do have a bowl game ahead of them, and their team has got very much to be proud of. And Ted Tollner, well, he's got to get his troops back and ready, emotionally ready, next week to play a very good and improving Notre Dame football team. Think about college football. I'll tell you what, with parity in college football today, you have to be ready every Saturday.
So their 6-game winning streak will come to a close. USC will be 8-2. UCLA concludes the regular season at 8-3. McLean to Elbert Watts. 20 seconds left. 4th down. Troy Richardson will come in and punt, and we've talked at the start of this show. There's Charlton Heston, is it? No, who is that? Chuck Young.
Looks a little bit like Charlton Heston.
Yeah, it did.
Chancellor of the university.
Yep. And what I started to say is we talked about Terry and the fact that it's been a year of struggle, but boy, this really smooths it out.
11-3. He had another fine season.
Troy Richardson, very high punt. And again, he gets somewhat of a roll at the 43-yard line. 10 seconds left, 9, and with 8 seconds left, the people in Westwood And on the campus of UCLA, going to have a happy time. Well, we've had some outstanding people that worked with us. Our executive producer, Kevin O'Malley, our producer, Rick Lasavita, Joe Assetti, the QB, our director, Robert Matina, associate producer, Scott Johnson, associate director, Suzanne Smith, Kelly Neal, our statistician, Mike Swanson, our spotter, Steve Baer. As this one is over, the Bruins have made it 3 in a row over USC. To 10. UCLA wins it. They finished the regular season 8-3. We'll return after this word from your local station.
You didn't get much help either, and you didn't get any breaks at all.